Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Global Game Jam 2021 Seattle Indies recap stream. We are gathered here today with Brad, Paxton, Andrew, and Tim to tell us a little bit more about the Global Game Jams and showcase 8 amazing games that we had submitted this year. Brad, can you tell us a little bit more about the Global Game Jam, what it's about, and any other information you have for us?
Yeah. So welcome everybody. Good morning. My name is Brad. Global Game Jam recap. Oh yeah. So Global Game Jam is a really cool thing where the whole world game jams together at the same time. This year there was some overlaps at different times. But yeah, we just a great community of developers coming together, working on a game, whether it's your first game or your like 100th game. It's absolutely fantastic.
Brad, what is a game jam?
Ooh, a game jam is where you take a game and you finish it, or ideally finish it, within a short amount of time, which for this game jam, it was 48 hours. So this was a 48-hour, make a game in 2 days kind of game jam.
That's quite the feat. We have 8 of those games here today. Do we know how many games were submitted this year, even from Seattle itself?
We get that number. It was like 30 or 50, right?
It was closer to 60, I thought.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Given our
we had a
online
lot.
presence.
That is amazing. And if I'm not mistaken, Global Game Jams 2020, there was a total of like 9,000 games that were submitted globally. So it's quite the number, and especially for Seattle to throw their ideas into the box there is absolutely amazing. And Tim, you've been here with Seattle for all of this, if I'm not mistaken. How long have you been with us? Can you tell us a little bit more about Seattle's involvement with game jams as well as Seattle Indies?
Yeah, I mean, Seattle Indies, we're a local nonprofit that hosts events and builds community for our independent game developers and professional and hobbyist developers as well. Everybody that wants to pursue game development as a hobby or profession is welcome to join us and learn more. And game jams are a great way to do that, especially Global Game Jam. We get so many first-time jammers that join us because it's just a thing that people know about and love to do. We've been doing it here with Seattle Indies since 2016. We started down in the old warehouse in Soto, where the Indies workshop used to be, with about 50 or 60 of us, and grew over the years to over 200 people at the Science Center when we were doing them in person last year. And this year we had upwards of 200 people online. I'm currently the director of operations for Global Game Jam, actually, and helped run the whole event this year, which was quite a task, taking over and making it an online event from the usual in-person event. But it was great. We had over almost 29,000 jammers in 104 countries at almost at 585 virtual sites, just like the one we had here in Seattle. Come up with 6,300 games based on the theme of Lost and Found, which I thought people really did a great job with this year. And especially our community, as always, they never fail to impress and just blow us away with their creativity and the amount of work they're able to do on, in a 48-hour game jam. And, it just keeps getting better every year, and the community keeps growing and more people keep joining. And even this year online, we had more people than ever, which was great. And thankfully, I had Paxton and Andrew and Brad here to sort of take over the role that I used to do of hosting the local site, because I was really busy on the global level, and they did an amazing job. And I thought everybody had a great time from what I could tell.
Yeah, the Seattle location was the second biggest in the U.S. You're next, New York. We're taking you down.
We were the biggest community-run place in the U.S. Like, that one was sponsored by Playcrafting, which is like a game company. But ours was the largest, volunteer / community organization.
Grassroots.
Exactly.
Seattle.
I am our local site organizer. We had a bunch of other helpers as well, though. Paxton is one of our helpers. Say hello, Paxton.
Hello, Paxton.
Paxton
sorry. Was I supposed to introduce myself too? Okay, I can do that for a hot second. Hi, my name is Paxton. I was one of the mentors. Specifically, I was helping run the the Story Guild this year, and we got a lot of people in to do some early workshops beforehand and get everything ready so that when the jam started, everyone hit the ground running.
Woo! I think
Yeah,
those worked really well this year. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really cool.
I'm pumped to see some of the stories that came from the Story Guild this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there were so many. We had so many amazing games. I still have like 18 games that I have left to play, and I'm itching to get at them.
Yeah, we had a huge variety of games, like some crazy zany physics games, and then there was also like some narrative twine games. So it was a really nice variety this year.
Yeah, that's always my favorite part of the gym is just seeing the different creative ideas that people come up with, and it's never just one genre that dominates. It's all just all different genres, all different types of games, all different ideas from just one central theme, which is always incredible.
Oh yeah,
It's super cool because it's all the same theme, correct? This
Yes.
year was Lost and Found. So you have all these different ideas coming together under one giant umbrella, and it's just the creativity is endless.
Absolutely, yeah. That's what we love about it.
Endless within 48 hours. We always have to stop everyone's endless creativity. I always feel like the bad guy. Oh, time's up, everyone. Submit your
Right.
game.
turn in your game, submit your videos.
Oh, too
Pencils
real.
down.
Yep.
We do
It's
a
always
lot
that
of game
last
jams.
second.
We
Yeah, go
do game jams all throughout the year, and even during the apocalypse times, we've still been hosting them online. So Global Game Jam ended it was our winter game jam. We'll be doing our games for our future jam in spring of some variety, of some flavor. Is that right, Tim?
Correct, yes.
Yes, and then in the summer, July 31st, put it on your calendars. We're doing Hype Jam, which is a game jam for concept trailers for like making a game for not a game, trying to pitch an idea. That's July 31st, and then we're also gonna have a slow jam again in November. That's gonna be our fall jam. So if you're interested in getting involved, join the Challenges Discord. We always have more going on.
That is fantastic. Is there anything else you guys wanted to add here to let us know any more information about the Global Game Jam or Seattle Indies before we get to these wonderful games we have to showcase today?
Well, I mean, today's Saturday, and every Saturday we have our indie support group meetup that happens on our Discord. It's a great place if you enjoyed the jam and you want to keep working on your game, or you have a new idea, or you just want to meet new people and maybe form a team. Come onto our Discord. We have a whole bunch of different channels set up for indie support group. Andrew's usually there, and as well as plenty of other people are regulars that are welcome you in and give you some advice or give you feedback on your game. We have lots of great people there that you can interact with, and Brad's usually there too.
We will welcome you with open arms. Seattle Indies is the place to be. Yeah. Thank you.
And when it's snowing outside here, what else are you gonna do?
It's
hang out
really
with some cool-
snowing.
I know. Wouldn't be a Global Game Jam recap show and tell without snow in Seattle.
Awesome.
Definitely no lie there. And it's great that we're all online and have the ability to continue doing this.
Correct.
But all right, guys, let's get to showcasing you some of the amazing Lost and Found games we have. We have 8 of them to show you, and we're going to start off with Sea of Screams, and we'll see you guys shortly.
Yeah. Awesome. Here we go. Sweet.
Welcome back, everybody. We are here with the Sticky Biscuits, the creative team behind Sea of Screams, and I'll have them tell us a little bit more about the game, who they are, because we have quite a few faces here with us today. And if you guys have any questions in chat, please feel free to ask them. We will do our best to get to them, and we can get all the answers we want. Why don't you guys? We'll start off with whoever is right below me, and we can go with that. Let us know who you guys are.
That's probably the three of us. You want to go, Darla?
Yes, I'm Nina, and I did art for the game.
Yeah, I'm Jeff, and just same kind of level design, area design. I don't know. What do we do here? I guess we kind of work together to just make the whole island environment and all the like crazy props that are out there. So yeah.
Fantastic. Whoever wants to go next, we'll just start in order here. We have OBS Ninja up, so we'll just start in order. We'll go from bottom down, back up, and around if that works for you guys, and we'll go from there. Or are we switching cameras out every time? We can do that. Whoever
talks, I'll try to get their camera in.
Okay.
That works.
I guess I'll go. So I'm David. I did the programming for the game, most of it, at least, or half of it, we'll say. And that's pretty much, that's more or less what I did.
Really underselling yourself there, David.
I don't remember a lot of it. Yeah.
It's kind of a blur.
It's a blur as always.
There it is.
It's a quick 48 hours, so.
Yeah, it goes by so
a bunch
fast.
of that awesome scream audio mixing that we did.
Oh yeah. I think I would definitely want to advertise like my main contribution is most of the screaming. So a lot of the screaming is me. Who's next?
Hey, let's see. And by the way, Jeff and Nita failed to mention, they're actually from London. Originally, our whole team was from the Seattle area. I'm there in London for a while. And so last year, we actually went to London to jam with them. This year, we did kind of split. So they were 9 hours ahead of us, which just made that pretty exciting. Anyway, my name's Brendan. I'm also one of the programmers on the team. I spent a lot of my time focusing on getting the UI stuff up in place, some of the core game loop, and then some of the basic AI logic. This game is kind of half stealth game. I didn't get tuned quite as much as I like, but there's a basic like vision cone model and some pursuit behaviors that the AI will do as you're trying to sneak up on them, which you'll see hopefully here in a little bit.
All right. Well, I guess I'm Adam. I did the sounds on the game, other than the screamings. That was all David. I can't take credit for that. But the music and sound you hear, I did, and I was kind of a last minute addition to the team, to be honest. I think it was like 10 a.m. or something on Sunday when my dear friend David hit me up and was like, "We need some sounds for the game. You make sounds. Can you do that?" So, that's what I spent my Sunday doing, and it was a blast. So I was very happy to do it. Very happy to be part of this team, and if they're doing it again next year, I'll be happy to do it again. So yeah, that's me.
Yeah,
I really appreciated the additions. They were amazing.
Yeah, it added a really fantastic soundtrack to our scrambling last few hours of the jam.
It was a blast.
Those sandy footsteps really did it for me.
Can you show us some gameplay of the game?
We absolutely can.
Fantastic.
If you can see it, I don't see the stream right now. So.
Yeah, it's gone.
It's perfect.
All right, so I can walk you through a little bit of how, or maybe someone else, because I need to focus on.
Yeah.
I need to focus on what I'm doing.
Have Marshall talk about it, and Marshall can talk about it too.
Yeah, hi.
Talk about the character here.
Hi everyone. I'm Marshall. I kind of fell into doing character animation modeling and rigging and all that sort of stuff. I by trade am an environment guy, but this lets me do that kind of stuff, which is kind of fun. I also do the like pickup modeling wherever we need. So like I did the as we'll see, the Scream Servatory, but I did all the enemies, the player character you run around as. And to talk about the game, I guess David has picked up a bottle that is washed ashore that contains a scream. It's the bottled scream. And he's sneaking up on this crab. And he's going to unleash the scream on the crab. And that spooks the crab, and then the crab drops his own scream in a bottle. And then you can pick up that. And the different bottles have different kinds of screams in them. And you use those different kinds of screams ultimately to power a strange machine on the island in the Scream Servatory.
Just like real life.
Just like real life, yeah. That's where David is running off to now.
Yeah, so we just mentioned that when we were looking at the list of modifiers this year, one of them was communicate only by screams. It was the Wilhelm achievement, and we're like, we're indexing hard on that. That's the thing that we're going for this year.
It seemed very, very on brand for us.
I did it wrong.
Oh no, it's the wrong scream.
I just kind of threw my screams out into the void by accident, so we gotta get some more screams.
Yeah. So I don't know if we ever settled on a fiction, but the fiction, at least in my head, was always that you were powering up this Scream Servatory machine to be able to create a massive scream to be heard on the island so you could be rescued.
Yeah, I think that's it. That's the dream.
Okay.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Great.
Glad we're in agreement.
Jeff and Nina did a great job on this environment. It is probably the biggest game we've ever made. For one of these game jams, there's like actually little, like, as you're seeing here, there's a little like actual biomes around the island that you can go to that have different monsters in them and stuff.
Yeah, we have 3 different mob types. There was the skeleton, which is down like in the lower right. The slimes are up here, right by the graveyard. And
Trying to get
skeletons are in the bones area and in the graveyard, and then the crabs are kind of around the coast, and then the slimes are over in the mushroom area. Yeah.
So yes, there's a little vision cone that'll show up there if you spot you. Oh no, you're in trouble now. Gotta try to get by a blocking line of sight.
Oh, he scared me.
Oh, he got you.
No.
We got a lot of trouble.
Oh man.
He's gonna get you. He's gonna spook you. He spooked you.
Yeah. Oh, there's a little sanity meter up at the top too. So as you're being pursued, your sanity is slowly dropping over time. So if your sanity drops to 0, then you restart the day. There's 3 days, I think.
Yes.
Very cool.
There's some skeletons. I feel like the skeletons are a little easier to lose.
Yeah, they're not as dedicated to doing you. Same with slime.
And it's hard to run without tendons and muscles.
When we first started this, we had this crazy idea of trying to share screams between other games. I kind of like the in Death Stranding, that mechanic of like you doing something in the world, and it kind of like if you lay a bridge, it could show up in somebody else's game. It's like, oh, what if you threw a bottle in and it showed up in somebody else's game? And we tried to rough in this thing where we could post. We had on AWS a little async message queue, but it really complicated the game mechanics we were trying to have, like a particular scream you're going for per day because you didn't know what day somebody else. So we just ended up cutting that. So it was getting really confusing to manage.
Yeah, that's always really fun as we're like working through what the design of the game is, like what burns off in the atmosphere as we approach that Sunday deadline. But yeah, I think we were trying to like work on the like the distant connections angle where you'd be getting messages from other players and you'd kind of feel their impact on the island as you played. But yeah, a lot of that we were just like, when it comes down to it, when you get down to brass tacks on Sunday evening, it's like, we just need screams and bottles, ship it.
Yeah.
There's a complicated scream mixing mechanic where like, what if like one bottle has some of the screams? Because you know, there's different sounds. It's not just one scream. There's like ooh or ah or eh. And so we had like, if you come up to one bottle, you can say like, okay, well, I want the ooh and the ah, but not the eh, so you can swap them out. But then that kind of rotted off. It's like, this is getting complicated.
We wanted to focus on what we're good at, which is just bottled screams. Kind of the core concept.
Gotta get down to those dino bots, David.
Yeah, what I wish that we had figured out was a way to message what scream to use on the monsters. So like this crab here is weak to ah screams. But there's not really any way for you to find out that other than just experimentation. So that would have been a nice little thing. If we had time to like add some more stuff, that would be my priority.
There's always this like delicate balance between like messaging stuff well versus having the or having it feel like there's enough challenge there? Because we were debating like should the screen or the bottle like light up or react in some way if it's the right kind or the wrong kind of screen, like a hot or cold mechanic or not.
All right, so I need a blar in here.
Need a blar?
We ingested screens.
Now, you guys did say that some of you are in London. So did that pose any issues or any complications with the creation of the game? Or how many obstacles did you have to overcome with that? Was it just the time difference?
Yeah, and the time difference was definitely a factor where the overlap with Seattle was dodgy. It was nice. We usually hit it pretty hard and try to stay up all night and work the full kind of like 48 hours anyway. But there was definitely like we would get up at our normal, we'd get up at like our normal starting time, and like Marshall would still be up animating this little guy's like noodle mouth and like, losing his mind, and we're just trying to get caffeinated and get up and running. So like we were a little like staggered as far as being on the same page all the time.
It was a little different this year too because we had our baby.
Yeah, this is the first year trying to jam with the baby, and so there was a lot of that kind of work as well.
And like the last day, it was more of a concern because it was the last day of my maternity leave, so we were trying to like measure how much we could stay up.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, on the Seattle side, it was kind of. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying, the Seattle side, it was just kind of wild because, like, our noon was there 8 p.m. And so we were watching. We like try to start as early as we could. I think on Saturday, I had gone to bed at like 2 and then woke up at like 6 or whatever to try to like overlap as much as possible because you don't want to like lose the middle of their afternoon.
Totally. Yeah, we were. I think we were kind of off the hook this year because all of the biscuits came out to London last year. We jammed out a Tentacle Zone in London, and kind of like the hotel bar we were staying in as well. But this year, I think it was like we were supposed to be the ones to fly back to Seattle and be there with them for Global Game Jam, and because this is a big deal for our group. So we would have flown out and had the baby, and because of this situation, we were kind of like, we'll do it remotely. Like it's probably for the best, but it was definitely like new and different for our group because we like to be able to like reach over the tops of monitors and mess with each other and stuff. So it was weird to be distant this time.
Yeah, that actually, I think, it made a big difference to our design process too, because we couldn't do our sticky notes. And it made it a lot harder to. It was interesting to seeing how it affected. We kind of like immediately locked in on a design because it was harder to like get a wide breadth of design ideas without like our usual like boarding process. But
usually
we made it work.
Usually we bounce around with like 3 or 4 ideas, like they percolate. Certain things rise to the top, and then we ultimately settle on one. But this time we were just like, this is the thing, we're doing that, and then
screams. Let's bottle them.
Yep,
let's go.
That's great.
That's literally all we had on the board for a little while. Like bottled screams are funny. Go.
Yeah. No, we just have to somehow figure out how to make that into a game, and we mostly succeed.
Mostly.
Yeah, there was like middle of Saturday night where we were trying to like deep into screen mechanics. We're like, wait, how does this work? Like, remember we have this figured out by now.
The Global Game Jam is usually in person, if I'm not mistaken. How did the online format of the jam impact the experience as compared to the usual jams that you guys participate in?
One thing I'll say on the positive side was that I liked was that it was a lot easier. It was much nicer when you're like staying up late, getting stuff working, or just getting as much done as you can to not have hanging over your head like I still gotta like drive home and like like get all that figured out after this is over.
When's my parking gonna expire?
yeah, all that kind of stuff. You have all the comforts of home, and so that makes it a lot easier to go hard.
Not sleeping under the IMAX screen.
Yeah. Being able to stumble over to my fridge in the morning is nice,
did miss wandering around Pacific Science Center at 4 a.m. When the whole place looks like a Tim Burton movie.
Fantastic. And one more question. How was participating in GGJ and how has it impacted your career as game developers?
That's a big one.
I think. Oh, yeah. I should go, Marshall. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm happy to. So I work in AAA development. That's my day job, and this is like the only time I get to kind of escape from that in like a weird way. Like AAA development is very, very different than any kind of indie development, and I don't know. The timeline on this is nice because it's concise. It lets you get creative ideas out quickly. You don't have to it's different than a 9 to 5 where you're building something that ultimately other people want you to make, because it's usually what AAA development is. And you have almost total creative control over it to the extent that you have to finish this, so no one really gets to critique it very much. So you just kind of got to do it and make it, and it's what you want, which is nice.
Very cool.
Yeah, totally. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
For me, I work in free-to-play mobile, but I'm a designer rather than an artist. So I actually get to practice some art and it's really fun to be able to come up with ideas with friends, because it turns into this weird hybrid of things, of ideas, and it's just great. It's very freeing.
Yeah. I think we have a lot of mutual weirdness between the 5 or 6 of us, right? Like when we're throwing ideas around, they tend to get weirder instead of or there's no concern for things being marketable or anything like that. It's all just what do we not get to do in our normal day jobs that we want to explore and kind of stretch outside the boundaries of what we do day to day. That's really I always come out of the jam very recharged and kind of I feel like I got this huge creative burden knocked out of me. It's really nice.
Exactly. Yeah, I would say a similar thing. I'm working on a game in my for what I do professionally, and it's been a few years now. And the jams are a really nice way to just get out random stuff that I want to do that I don't have time to do otherwise, and just experiment with other stuff. And just like Jeff said, I come out of it feeling really recharged to go back to my main project, because I got all the weird stuff out of me.
I feel like I'm just going to get you to plug your project, David. What is the game you're working on?
I don't want to.
Yeah, I will say it's to the point too that's so cool about game jams, because you're trying to get just a bunch of stuff done really rapidly. It forces you to be very cross-disciplinary. To Marshall's point about the AAA-ness, usually you end up hyper-specializing in one domain, and so hey, right now we need a little bit of AI code. Right now we need a little bit of other UI stuff. Right now we need to record some audio. I remember last year I was with Nina trying to record audio in the stairwell between people going to visit the bathroom in the tentacle zone, where we had 30 seconds of quiet. It's fun to try a bunch of stuff. And for me, I usually do development in Unreal, not in Unity. So it's always kind of fun, switching gears and trying to remember how to do stuff. And I'm very thankful for these guys' patience and trying to help guide me along and all the subtleties of Unity development.
Perfect.
How about Adam?
So, go ahead. Go ahead. No,
you know what?
Please.
I think my favorite part of this is just being able to connect with other people who want to create and make dope stuff in their free time, because even the morning David Evans hit me up to work on this, I was going to make music anyway. That's what I usually do with my weekends. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll just spend the weekend making music for your game. That sounds fun. Making sounds for it. So yeah, it's awesome to always like connect with people who are just like more interested in spending their time making awesome stuff. And in my opinion, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe, especially like the art and the level and everything, with like 48 hours of work, it's insanity to me. I think this is crazy, especially because I also work in game development for my day job. I'm at another indie studio in Seattle working on a game called Due Process. I do sound design for them. And yeah, so it's just awesome to come together with other people outside of that environment and like make cool stuff really fast. I like it.
Yeah.
That is great to hear. Where can we keep in touch with Sea of Screams, as well as you guys as Sticky Biscuits? Can we find you on social media so that we can keep track of what you guys are up to from here on out?
Yeah, absolutely. We're on Twitter as @BiscuitSticky, and we got the itch.io business going on as well. Do we have anything else? How developed are we as a little
I mean, we
cloister?
have our
We're announcing
individual-
our IPO next year.
We also have our individual stuff linked on the itch.io page if you want to follow us individually or whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
Perfect, guys. Thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your game with us, for creating this amazing game in such a short amount of time. And we will come back with another game to showcase for you guys soon.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for hosting it and everything too.
Welcome back, guys. We are here with the Global Game Jam 2021 Seattle Indies recap, and we have game number 2 for you guys, Bunny Boomers. And I am here with Astoria and Naum to tell us a little bit more about this game. Amy, can you tell us about this game? How was the experience? Is this your first Global Game Jam?
Yeah, this is my first Global Game Jam. So our game is called Bunny Boomers, and first we were thinking, okay, this should be like a 3D Minesweeper game, but with exploding bunnies because the internet loves bunnies. So we had a team of, I think, 7 people. We had a concept artist, a bunch of programmers, we had a music guy. So all the sounds that you hear in the game are actually created by Ricky Rumbo, our audio person. So the objective of the game is to be able to save as many bunnies as possible from exploding from the mines. And you do that by diffusing the mines that you see on the ground, like so. And then what you can do is you can also lure the bunnies away by plucking carrots and throwing them.
Perfect.
Yeah. And what else? It's been a while, so I'm trying to like remember everything about the game. So there are these sensors here that will beep louder as you get closer to them. Sometimes you can be like really cruel, and what I like to do is sometimes I'd like to lure the bunnies into the into the bombs
The
themselves.
radius?
Yeah, into the radius themselves. But that's really up to you how you want to play the game.
And how do you win the game? Is there a win to this game, or is it just whether you want to go complete chaos or?
So the
Or
way to win the
passive
game
chaos.
is to defuse like all the bombs. So right now we say that there are 15 of them left, and you can just try to like beat your score from before. And the score is just like how many bunnies you save.
Very cool. How did the online format impact you guys? And you said this is your very first one. So was this an easy experience for you? Was it a super good one? Was it more difficult because it was online? Do you think it would have been easier if it were not?
Well, I wouldn't have actually. So that scream was actually recorded by our audio person too. I wouldn't have heard about this if my roommate hadn't pulled me into it. So I think he already had one other person in the team, and so I think like it was really great having that collaborative process. At least like having one person in the room. But I think that like if this weren't online, then it would have been difficult to actually form the team because a lot of our team formation happened in the Discord, and our communication was all virtual. And I think like that actually made it better because this way we were a lot more focused. We were very like disciplined with our time, and we actually got like maybe 6 hours of sleep every night. And I feel like if we were in person, it would have been difficult to like really pull ourselves away from the task and get some rest.
Very cool.
Yeah. Also, I can comment on this. Also, like I usually join like other game jams, then I usually do it online, and I never joined like global game jam because of the insights. Like I'm from Brazil, like all my friends that I usually do the game jams are there, so like I can never join like with my friends. So I will have like to go like with complete strangers, and sometimes I'm not like willing like to just go there to some place that I don't know very much and like put me on the radar. Like I have to do this because I'm committed like with these random people. Like this is actually like way better because like I don't know like most of the people in our team, but like our communication was easier and it was already online and we could like schedule like our time easier and everything.
For sure. We definitely over-index on communication. I know we probably heard that term a lot, especially like from working from home. But because we were all online, we really made an effort to just like keep each other updated about when we were going to be meeting and our process.
Very cool. And Nam, was this your first global game jam as well?
Yeah, like Global Game Jam is like my first one, but like I'm veteran like in jams in general. Like I joined like Ludendare like I don't know like 10 years ago, and I keep like doing jams like for years. I try to enjoy like most of them. But yeah, like Global Game Jam was one like the big one that I never participated. I always follow like the results, but I never like had the team because I usually like gather some friends that like to do games, and I just don't go like, oh, I want a new team and just like go to random people that I don't know. Right? So Global Game Jam was a new experience to me. But yeah.
I'm really glad that like we did this because I wouldn't have met Naum, and I feel like in the future, if he wants to do a game jam again, I'd be down. So
Yeah.
it was
Very
a cool
cool.
networking opportunity too.
That is great to hear. So, with that being said, does that mean you guys would be definitely willing to do another global game jam or any other jams as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we should totally like decide on what should we use, like what tools should we use, because like we basically learned Unreal like on the fly. Like we had like basically like no experience on Unreal, like most of our team. So we were like basically learning how Unreal works and everything. Like I'm a C++ programmer, but like I was using blueprints and not C++. And all the like I did in Unity like the other gems sometimes, and sometimes I code like the from scratch like in C++ like the whole engine. So like this was basically like a new thing that we had, like we lost a lot of time like trying to understand like how Unreal works.
We made a lot of concessions with the tech stack because using blueprints to program everything, it did speed up compile time because if we had done everything in C++, maybe we would have taken a lot more time to just like build the project every time, right? And it also gave us more flexibility with people who may not be as experienced with Unreal C++, because it's very different from just native C++.
Makes sense. And would you guys have any advice for anybody doing their first global game jam or their first game jam in general?
I think the first thing is like try to have fun, and try to have a very small scope. Like we were trying like initially, like I'm more veteran like in game jams in general. So like I was always telling the team like we should go like try to do the basic on like a very simple idea, because we always think like, oh, we can do this in time, and we can never do that in time. So like I was keeping like, oh, let's do it very small thing, and then if we have time, then you increment on it, and that's the third, like the best thing that you can do until you have like more practice like with your team and with the tools. Then you can start like scoping like broadly. But like for the first jams, like if you join like without knowing this, you're basically like not completing the game at all because you scope like too much, and in the end like you don't even have like the basic mechanics.
I tried to avoid scope creep and make sure that honestly, it was honestly kind of like a meme when someone said, "Hey, like what if we had other animals? What if we had cats and pigs? And what if we had multiple levels, right?" And we were thinking, well, in a 48-hour hackathon, it's really difficult to come up with a fun game when we don't have like the aspect of fun yet, right? I think that's something that we really tried to index on, like can we make something that is like really playable and fun? And the moment that like we just like play tested it and felt like, hey, it's actually really fun seeing the bunnies explode and hearing them scream. We realized that hey, we made a game, and that was really cool.
It's gotta be quite the accomplishment and such a good feeling, especially for within 48 hours, learning entirely new processes. Seattle Indies pointed it out in chat as well. This is an extremely impressive result for just learning the program for this.
Yeah, and I feel like the artist like made a extremely good job there. Like if Amy can show like the details in this robot, like they are extremely impressive. Like David like is a very good like artist, and I was really impressed because like most of my gems are like 2D like art from scratch, and so like I programmer art and not like a very good model like with normal maps 3D. So like these are like they even like show up like GGJ 2021 there in the robot and everything. So like we working with artists and like in the team that could learn like Unreal like from scratch like in 48 hours was really amazing. Like, really good team.
Yeah. For sure. We had such a great team composition too. In the beginning, we thought, okay, like maybe we have too many programmers, because we only have one and a half artists because I did some of the 2D concept art, and only one audio person. But I think like everyone was really, really willing to learn the things that we, weren't capable of doing just yet. Um, and I'm just really happy that we were able to put so many like talented people together and build something together.
Very cool. Now, how has participating in GGJ impacted your game development career?
Yeah, so this one, like I'm a software developer. Like I do game jam like for fun, right? Because I like it, and maybe like later, like in my life, I'll join like some game, like the game industry. But I feel like in general, like game jams, like really help me like understand like the principles of what's important in a game. Like in every game jam, I understand more like what we were missing, like why it's not fun, and why is like why it's not a game, why do people like feel it's different, or we sometimes I start with an idea that thinking like it's, oh, this is the best idea of the world, and when we implement it, like it's not good at all. So like we keep like improving our game design and like our techniques on even like developing like the programming part and how to actually like work as a team also. So like everything there, like it's a good way like to improve your understanding and to improve your abilities to work with games and software in general, actually.
And for my side, I am a game developer. I think I'm pretty new to the industry. I'm currently working at an indie studio building AAA games. It's called Firebox Studios, and I guess like this is a good way to practice some of the different aspects of game development that I usually don't do. I don't usually work on game design inside of blueprints, but this is something that is cool to be able to do outside of work. Um, yeah, so I think like as a new game developer to the industry, it's really fun just like um, looking at other people's games too, and like just going through the showcase and thinking, wow, like this person had really cool art, or this person did this feature in a really cool way. And I think one of my goals is to uh, get better at game feel. I'm not sure if you can notice, but sometimes if you walk into like a dead ghost bunny that we haven't completely destroyed, sometimes the instance of it will like launch you forward a little bit, and that's like something that doesn't feel quite right in the game, right? So I think like having this experience really teaches me how to develop better games for the user.
That's great. And have you guys done more to this game since the end of the game jam?
Cool.
Um, so I actually right after the game jam, I was like a little bit unhappy about some of the spaghetti blueprints that we had. So I started up my own Twitch stream. I was just like fixing up some of our spaghetti code. And it took a couple hours, and finally, when I was like, okay, this is actually readable now, I closed it and went to bed. So I guess like in terms of adding new features, we haven't, but I did do a lot of like the code refactoring because usually in a 48-hour or 24-hour hackathon, you're not really thinking about like readability, right, or like scalability, or am I going to be coming back to this? So yeah, so it was like it felt like very it felt very nice being able to clean that up and set a basis for, I don't know, like maybe in the future if someone wants to revisit this project again, they'll be able to remember what we did and read it and add to it as necessary.
Perfect. Well, how are we going to be able to find you guys and keep up to date with your guys' publications, your creations, with more of Bunny Boomers? Are you on social media? Please let us know where we can find you.
So I can pull up we actually made an Instagram account and a Twitter account. So on Instagram, we are Bunny Boomers Game, and on Twitter, we are at Bunny Boomers. And I think Right now, I don't think we have anything posted just yet, but I think both Naoom and I stream on Twitch, so I'd be really down to showcase some of that development if we do continue indexing on the game.
Very cool. Thank you guys so much for coming in, for being a part of the Global Game Jam, and for sharing your game with us today. We love it. We appreciate you. And we will be back with more games for you guys just shortly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi guys, we are back with Odd Boss, the creators of Treacherous Waters, here today. Another game from the 2021 Global Game Jam. And we have the team here to tell us a little bit more about this spectacularly looking game. How are you guys today?
Hey, doing well.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about what Treacherous Waters is, genre, how this game is playing, all of the above.
So Treacherous Waters, we decided to do something really crazy, and do an online multiplayer game for this game jam, which seemed a little crazy at first, but I'm surprised we actually got it working out. But yeah, you start out as a little raft on the ocean, and you can go around. You can collect crates and shoot other players. And the goal of the game is to essentially become the biggest pirate and have the biggest ship on the sea. And you can shoot other people with cannons and collect power-ups and just all around bully other players, essentially.
Very cool. And was this, I mean, I imagine online multiplayer games are not the usual go-to for game jams in general. Was that did you guys want to extra challenge yourself? Was there any other complications you guys met in this endeavor?
Do you want to take this one, Beck?
Yeah, sure. So we did a game jam with Seattle Indies a couple weeks before this, or a couple months. And we are using a tool called mirror networking, which I think originally was going to be native to Unity until they discontinued it, and then someone else finished it. And it's a pretty simple tool, and we got familiar with it during the Indie Slow Jam towards the end of last year, I think. And so we decided for the next game jam, we're going to try something smaller, a game like this is really conducive to the way that mirror networking is already set up. So it's, fairly low maintenance for online, and it seemed to work out pretty well. It didn't crash horribly, so I'm happy about that.
Very cool. And is this your guys' first global game jam, let alone your first game jam in general?
No, we started working together as a team back in, I believe, 2018 during Global Game Jam. And ever since then, we've always kind of joined forces back together for each Global Game Jam, as well as a few other online game jams hosted on itch.
Very cool. So, and I know, so since you have done game jams before, this pandemic has brought us together in a completely different way, being online. Did that pose any complications? That make things easier? Tell us about that experience.
I think it was all right. I had a few concerns going into it, but I think that because we've worked together so often in the past, we already know each other's strengths and what each teammate is capable of, and we have a pretty good understanding on communication and skill set. So that was really easy. We have a Discord that we all keep up to date with each other in. So that was really good for communication as well. And I think all in all, it was just really nice to be able to have like the opportunity to essentially stay at home and then have good sleep quality instead of sleeping on the floor at the science center like we usually do.
That is fantastic. So since you guys are veterans, what keeps you guys coming back to the game jams? Is there something specific that you absolutely love about the experience?
Yeah, so for me, I'm the artist of this game. And that's kind of my main expertise. I know very little about Unity, basically nothing about coding, but just like the basics to get by when it comes to Unity and making prefabs and stuff like that. So for me, essentially, it's crucial to join game jams and to meet up with other people who are skilled in this field and have similar interests as me. And I can then work with them, and I can use my art skills to help them get a game that looks good, and they can use their programming skills, and it's a lot of fun to have people of different skill sets with similar mindsets and be able to work together and know that you're all there for the same reason and just be able to let that creativity drive you.
Very cool. And how has GGJ impacted your game development career?
Yeah, so for me, it's propelled it like very far, essentially. Like right now I'm working freelance right now in the game dev field, which has been a lot of fun. Really stressful, but also a lot of fun. And I don't honestly know if I would have done that if it wasn't for Global Game Jam, just because there was no outlets for me prior to that to actually gain a little bit of experience and see how it was working with game dev in general. And it's been really great to meet a lot of other people who are in the same field and be able to pick their brain and kind of rally together as game developers. And I'm being shot. And to be able to just kind of support each other and ask each other questions and comfort each other when, you know, development is going rough.
So we're watching the gameplay. There's more people in this channel. If any of you guys want to have input into these questions, you have anything else you want to add, please feel free, speak up, let us know more about the game. But I'm seeing different color boxes here as we're playing this game. Is there specific things that each color box does for you as far as growing?
Yeah, the white boxes, that's just the basic unit for growing bigger. And then the colored boxes are different power-ups. So this green one is my favorite one. This is the speed boost. But there's things... Oh, I just got shot. There's ones that increase how far you can see or manipulate the types of cannonballs you're shooting and stuff. There's not a lot of visual cues yet for them, but they do function.
Perfect. Now, do you guys plan on coming back to this game, or have you come back to this game since the game jam ended?
Yeah, we've been working for the last 2 weeks on it, cleaning up bugs mostly, and I think we're discussing, do we want to try and release it, or how much work is it going to take to get it into a state where we could put it out and feel good about it. So we're feeling it out, I think.
That is understandable. Game jams put you in a 40-hour time limit, right? So you're a little limited on everything you want to do for the game.
Yeah, no matter how hard you try, it's you only get like 20% of your game done, and then you gotta pat yourself on the back.
That's still an amazing feat to be able to complete, and it's awesome to see you guys making games in such a short amount of time and to do it so well.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely a privilege to have such a big community of people showing up every year and just getting all of us inspired to try and put out something or do better than we did last time, for sure.
As veterans, would you guys have any advice for anybody thinking about joining their first game jam?
Definitely have a small scope. That's something that I feel like we struggle with a lot, especially with larger teams. It's very easy to get caught up with scope very easily. But it's also important not to lose sight in just how fun it is to participate in game jams. I feel like if you take things too seriously, then you're kind of setting yourself up for a miserable time, because there's a lot of joy to be had in game jams and participating with other people. And with such a short amount of time, it's very, very hard to have everything go perfectly, to iron out all the bugs and to get the art like precisely how you want it. So yeah, I think if you just take things a little less seriously, go into it with the mindset of having fun and being able to just grow a little bit and meet and collaborate with a lot of cool people, then I feel like you're going to have a really great time.
That is excellent advice. Now, specifically for this game, what was your inspiration for the art style?
Yeah, so I did most of the art. We had Joe, he did the pixel art. He did the little guys that are on the ships, which are really cool. It adds a lot of life to the game. But the main art style was map art, like old school, like pirate treasure map art. So I have these sketched out pirate ships that I drew from the top down, and those were a lot of fun to make. and then I created these islands, and we have more stuff coming on the way for a future update. But yeah, I was really inspired by the minimalistic style of like old school pirate maps, and I thought that since this was a ship game, that would be pretty appropriate.
That is the art is spectacular. The look is great. The feel feels fantastic for this. Was there anything in game development that you found extra difficult? You guys have worked together before, so you know how each other works, but was there anything that you might have had that was a little bit more of an issue given that you guys were online this time around?
Do you want to take this one, or?
I don't think I had too many issues going in. It was really nice to be able to see the theme early on. We were able to start formulating some ideas before the date actually started, which was really nice. So most of the art style was kind of already determined by the time the game jam actually started, which was nice. I don't know if there is too many issues on the programming side with the limitations of being online.
We had a couple of hiccups. It was actually surprisingly, it was not as bad as I thought it was going to be, but like there was a couple of communication issues. I know, like on the first night, our other programmer Jacob, he created this system for the boats to grow sort of in this segmented fashion, where like they would add more middle parts in between the front and the end part. But then obviously the art is like these beautiful complete boats already. So that was just like something where the programmers were assuming it was going to work one way, and the artist was assuming it was going to work another way, which is, you know, if you're in person, you catch it right off the bat. But when you're uploading files and there's more of a delay, you know, catch it until you try and put it in the game and you realize you built the wrong thing. But other than that, I think it went pretty smooth.
Very good, very good. And are you guys all local? Were there any communication hiccups because it was online, or are you guys all fairly local? You guys across it was a global game jam, so how global are we talking?
Very local.
Yeah.
We're all around Seattle.
Yeah. We all started meeting up together as a group, as I mentioned, back in 2018. So because of that, most of our group is kind of from this area. So even though this was a global game jam and it was like a lot of fun to see people from New York and a lot of other places stop by our site and collaborate with us, people who we would have never had the chance to meet before. Unfortunately, most of our team was mostly local, so we didn't have much of that interaction within our team.
And you guys have been a team for a couple years now. Do you guys plan on making more games together?
Yeah, so we're actually working on a game called Sheep Creep that we worked on for the last Seattle Indie Slow Jam, and we've been developing that ever since, and it's been going really well. And this game was basically just been a nice way to take a small break from that game. A lot of the multiplayer elements kind of cross over, which is how we were able to get multiplayer working in this game pretty seamlessly, because we were working on it already for Sheep Creep. So a lot of that language kind of translated over. So like Kyle Beck said, we're kind of talking about just working on this game till the end of the month and then pushing this game out just to have it out there essentially. And then Sheep Creep, which is the other game we're working on, we're planning on releasing sometime by the end of the year or moving forward.
Very cool. Back to Treacherous Waters here, though. Can you tell us a little bit about the music, the audio in the game? What was the inspiration for the music style that you guys went for?
Yeah, so I didn't have much interaction with the music, unfortunately, and our music guy isn't here. But I know that we got a chance to use Wise during this project, which was a lot of fun because we were able to get this dynamic music going where the larger your ship gets, the more musical elements are thrown on top of the track, which is really nice. It gives you this real sense of progression, which was a lot of fun. And yeah, kudos to our musician, because they picked up Wise pretty easily, which was really nice to not have to worry about that too much, and being able to get that implemented in a way that feels really meaningful was nice.
Yeah, I always love game jams with the audio guys, because they have to spend the whole first day kind of crunching with no game to look at for inspiration, and then they just come out with some soundtrack on the second day or whatever, and we put it in the game, and it's hilarious because no matter what they make, it always fits or sounds good, even though it's totally unplanned.
So it's a skill in itself, and in 48 hours, it's spectacular.
Indeed.
So there's a lot of pirate names we're seeing here. Are there any favorite names that you guys have in the game?
Ooh.
Let's see. I think my favorite one is Drake Deranged. It's one of the random generated names you can be.
Yeah.
That's the best thing.
Jacob was our other programmer. He was the one who, I believe, implemented the system, which is really nice. You have these pre-generated pirate names, so people can come in and already feel like a pirate in a way. But in the main menu, you're also able to change the name yourself if you want to have something more specific. So we've seen a couple of interesting names in here before.
Oh, I'm sure. What is one thing you learned during this jam that you can take forth into future jams or game development?
Well, on my end, I'll go ahead and start.
Yeah.
On my end, working with Wise, the audio plugin tool, on a programming perspective, it's one of those things, that you can't. It's really hard to start learning on a long-term project or on a larger project. So just having this game jams is an excuse to iterate and, not worry about messing something up or pushing the wrong thing into your Git repository or something is really nice.
And then for me, it was really nice to, for one, be able to experiment with a new art style. That's one of my favorite things about doing game jams, is you're able to do weird stuff that you wouldn't have thought of doing before, you wouldn't think you were capable of doing before. So doing this very nice, illustrative art style was something that I haven't really had a chance to experiment before, and that was a lot of fun. But then also, it gave me a chance to dip my feet into some Unity shader work, which was a lot of fun, and being able to see the possibilities there really kind of sparked my imagination on what we can do in the future.
Very cool. And is there anything that you wish you had known or had thought of before this game jam that you could have implemented?
I don't know if there was too much on the art side for the game jam.
Yeah, on our end, I'm not sure either.
Yeah, I feel like there was a few bugs that were present in the game jam build, which were unfortunate. But besides that, I felt like we had a pretty well polished game that I was very, very skeptical if we were able to even pull it off at the beginning. But I think by the end we had a pretty nice polished game that I feel like we can be proud of, even if it is, relatively small. What is there is really nice and really fun to play around with other people. So we have a few small plans for the future, but yeah, for what's here right now, I'm really happy with.
It's great. And for the future, how can we keep in touch with Oddboss as well as the games that you guys are developing? We find you on social media.
Yeah, so you can find me on social media at Jeremiah_design. I post a lot of updates there, basically weekly, about our various game projects that we're working on. There you can also find a link to our Discord, and we have playtest opportunities there, as well as developer updates.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much for participating in the Global Game Jam, for this wonderful game you guys created in 48 hours, and for sharing it with us today. And we will be back shortly with another game to showcase for you guys. Hi guys, we are here with Jeff and Cal, and they're going to tell us a little bit about Jim Short's Grave Robbers. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well. How about you guys?
Oh, pretty good.
That is great to hear. So you guys participated in this global game jam, and we're here with Jim Short's Grave Robbers. Tell us a little bit about the game and how this is played.
Sure. I can try to recall how we came up with the idea. My friend in Seattle, Kyle, he worked on the music on audio, and he came up with a bunch of different ideas and sketched them out. And we had a few alternates that I think would have worked probably just as well. But this one kind of came from me and him both thought of the lyrics to Amazing Grace, what once was lost now is found. And so that kind of, I guess, made us think a little bit about death or something. And he drew a cartoon of Jim Short and wrote the quirky phrase, Jim Short Graveyard. I thought it was funny, and I thought we should make a game around it. And so the rest of us talked about it, and then that's how we came up with it. And Cal could explain some of the mechanics that we ended up going with.
So, basic mechanics are that you basically go around, you can dig from a grave and steal the loot, but you kind of want to really steal the magical Jim Shorts that you might accidentally find in someone's grave. And they give you 3 different abilities. You can either get better digging, faster running, or stronger attacks. And when you collect them, they'll appear on your character. And basically you just run around, collect what you can, try to escape without dying. But the ghosts come over, and when they hit you, kind of Sonic style, all your coins get knocked out. And if you get hit a second time, you'll end up dying. And so basically,
and that's my favorite mechanic, I think. Getting hit is maybe the most rewarding part of the game because everything just goes flying everywhere. And so that's probably the thing to look forward to.
And they just keep going too. They kick you while you're down.
Yeah, no, they don't stop. Yeah, and you can't kill them because they're ghosts, and I guess shovels have the ability to stun ghosts in this world, but can't kill them. So they just kind of haunt you in a sense till you leave the graveyard. And that's the basic. I believe the yellow one are the weakest ones, and then it goes blue and then red. But I could be seeing that. See how he has the green ones now? Sorry. But yeah, that's the, I guess, core to the game. And then when you're done, you run out and then try to see how much you can survive with. And then that's their song they made, right, Jeff?
Yeah. So the majority of that song was made by my friend Kyle. He did a really good job kind of making a horror synth soundtrack. And then I came in and added some like heartbeat drum kind of ideas. And then I let him put that together, and that's what ended up in the game. And we split the sound effects then too between us.
And we started programming. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You started programming?
Okay. We started programming this originally in Unreal on the Friday, and then we switched on Saturday to Unity, is what our programmer James did. So this was kind of done a lot quicker than we originally intended, but he had a lot more knowledge in Unity than we did in Unreal. So we went with that perspective. But
that is fair. Was this your guys' first global game jam or your first game jam in general?
So
sorry.
Go ahead. You first.
This was I believe my 3rd game jam. I usually do them in San Antonio area of Texas, but I met a friend through Jeff, and he lives in the Seattle area, and so that's why we decided to join this one to do that. But Jeff's turn.
Yeah. I've done a number of them before. This is my first global game jam, and so it would have been the first physically based one that I've ever done. But then everything's online, so I'm like kind of used to that. And then I guess everybody that was part of our team was somehow linked. Something I had done before a little bit. Cal was a friend of a friend that I grew up with. Kyle was a friend that I went to music school with, and then James was somebody that I worked with in the last jam. So we just kind of
won an N64 jam with.
I appreciate it.
But
very cool.
Yeah, no, and one of the neat things I guess about our team was we actually had like a person in every single time zone in America. We had Eastern, Central, Western, and Mountain. which was kind of strange.
Oh wow.
So,
now did those different
discussions
time
were difficult.
frames? Did those time frames, those time differences, does that pose any issues, any obstacles for you guys in creating the game?
Just setting up really the talks, I would say, like our meetings, right, Jeff? I would think that was like our really biggest time, was kind of figuring like 12 for someone in Seattle is like 3-4 o'clock, you know, East Coast. So it was trying to balance everybody in between there. So.
Yeah, I think in other game jams, like where everybody's international, those can be even more difficult because there's language barriers and time zone barriers. But then in this one, we were all pretty much on the same page. We just met a little bit later in the day, and it was fairly smooth in that regard. But setting up times to meet was complicated because you had to like figure out for each person what to tell them. And for me, I just kind of Googled like what this time is for me, and figured out that way.
That's good. Were there any other obstacles that you guys faced being online only? I know that you said that you haven't done an in-person one, so this was more par for the course for you. Was there anything though that was more of an obstacle because it was online?
Well, the things that were unique in the Global Game Jam, there were the what are they called? I think the modifiers. Is that the word?
Diversifiers?
Diversifiers. So those were new and fun. I really think that like adding limitations or setting your own imaginary like hoops to jump through are really fun to work with. I feel like that's probably the biggest difference and thing that we thought of when we were coming up with the ideas.
At least for me, going from like doing ones in person to online, the group I worked with, I mean, everyone really seemed to have a pretty big understanding on how to do things online and I guess sending information, transferring files. We didn't use any repository, which I guess would actually be like bad for most people, but seems to have helped us out because we didn't have any issues with stuff crashing, which is what apparently a lot of people were having with GitHub over this global game jam. So I guess in a way we're kind of glad we didn't do that, but really didn't seem like any problem. It seemed like everyone had understood how to use the computer to do business online. So.
Yeah, it felt like we were on the same page. Like me and Kyle had learned all that we know about music at the same time, same place, and then we had done online stuff before, so that was smooth.
Very cool. On that same note, though, did we find anything that was particularly more useful in collaborating and communicating via online?
I mean, Discord would be step one.
For sure. Like other times, there might be almost too many ways to share things. So like Trello is really common. We didn't use that this time, and I feel like just having all of our stuff on Discord was nice. And we were all a lot more focused too. I've done jams with maybe younger people who are more excitable, a little bit more distracted even than I am. And we were lucky to like be pretty focused and not like joke around a whole lot about stuff, and so that was nice.
All in all, it was good, fun, and it was my first time working with Kyle and Jeff, Kyle and James. But like Jeff said, we'd worked on a project together before. So,
have you guys done anything more to the game or plan to do anything more to this game since the game jam?
Good question.
We did not add anything more. I know, like we had talked a little bit about possibly like if we were to add something, maybe add like a flashlight for the character maybe to have or something. Maybe make the crypts do stuff and maybe have like a little bit better leveling between the different ghosts. Maybe not all three of them doing the same attacks or whatever, or all walking the same way was kind of I think things we just like briefly talked over during the time period.
Yeah, I think at the very end, James and I and everybody were coming up with little ideas here and there. But then once the jam ended, like kind of the motivation to get all that stuff done fell off a cliff. And so there's definitely things that could make it better and could make it a deeper game. But I guess our motivation to do that isn't quite there anymore.
And we did never get to make what we called the Undertaker. Was supposed to be at the front area, and he would like tell you what to do instead of a little pop up. But the idea was he was supposed to be the underwear taker, and that is what he does, and that is why you go around stealing gym shorts and stuff like that.
I love it.
At one point, we had a fence mechanic, so you could only get to some areas if you had the power up to jump away from them, and then so you would have to decide whether you could go faster or you could move to other areas or maybe get trapped. And I don't think the fence thing ever worked out because that was a lot more time, jumping animations and all that, and so that would be kind of a long-term goal.
Very cool. You guys plan on coming back to the game at all? Or just waiting for that motivation to build back up?
At least for me, I think when we all talked about it, it was really just like we wanted to do this project and kind of stop. We thought it was kind of just a really, I mean, you could make it more in depth, but it kind of is just a basic game of like digging, robbing, and running, you know? So I don't think most of us really have much of a way to really make the game too in depth, and maybe just adding more features. So maybe there's really not as much fun as like that online, you know, ship game that's, you know, has a lot more, I think, appeal to keep developing it than this one does.
Yeah, I feel like there's little aspects though that you could take from and put in another game, like the way that we implemented your health or loot flying everywhere. If you throw that in another game, I would play it and like playing it. And so that's kind of a shortcut to something that could make something better.
Cool. And with this game, what's the highest score you have seen so far? What's the highest score you can get?
Oh gosh.
None of us have ever, I don't think any of us have ever robbed every grave.
Yeah. I got close and then I allowed myself to get hit and everything flew out of bounds. And I think I gave up after that point.
Yeah, because if you're like in the corner and someone hits you, stuff will fall off the side, so you can't pick that stuff up anymore. It like taunts you, and like the coins just laugh at you on the other
You
side.
just stand there and stare at it out of reach. Sad.
Yeah. So,
do you guys have any advice for anybody who's looking to join a game jam or is on the fence about whether or not they want to?
just do it, and then figure out what happens afterwards. I mean, no one's going to get hurt or die usually, so you just do it and deal with whatever's left over. I don't know.
Yeah.
Move on with the experience.
For sure, I would say to join it. Like for me, getting into game jams was the way and the motivation I would find to work on music, and it's a really cool like modern way of collaborating with people. And the first one, I mean, the biggest challenge of everyone is finishing, and then after that, you just kind of want to get better, and you find teammates that like you work with, and you know you can trust, and you just kind of keep going from there.
But experience is the best, and there's nothing to fear. No one's gonna get hurt, and other than maybe your pride.
That's rebuildable. Definitely. There's got to be a gym shorts for that somewhere, right?
Yeah, we just haven't found it yet. So
got to get all the graves, then you'll find it.
Most likely.
How has participating in global game jams or game jams in general benefited or impacted your game development career?
You want to go, Jeff?
Sure. I mean, just like kind of practice and more experience. I am looking forward to meeting people in my area and basically doing the same thing and just finding more people to collaborate with. And I mean, you can learn so much about the different disciplines. I think that's something that's really amazing. I have a lot of respect for programmers who handle stuff that I don't think I could ever learn to do. And the same thing with the artists. And it's like it's an opportunity to dabble in that stuff if you want to. And so yeah, I guess that's, I forgot what the question was, but that's what I got.
I think it really like propels people, or at least I feel like I learn a lot in a short amount of time that I might not normally do on projects I'm working on my own. So like the projects I kind of work on, I would try to tend to lean away from anything with animation, because there's a lot of extra coding that goes into animation, and in addition to having to get the animated part already, but outside of that, it just, there's a lot of other stuff, like when the animation appears, when it doesn't appear, when it cuts off, things like that I usually avoided. And this was like my first game jam where I really kind of like had to learn it. And I would say like that was a huge learning experience in and of itself. Animation's a lot different than just moving a character left to right.
Yeah. There's all kinds of like little tricks you can use to save time, and I would say time is the biggest thing to worry about in a game jam. So like an example, if you don't want to do animations, go with like a vehicle or a shape that you don't have to animate. And then with music, like you kind of worry about form and looping, and you want something that's like good and fun and not annoying. And so you figure out how to do that with like kind of the least amount of effort. Yeah, you just kind of learn about different tricks that you can use in your next one.
Oh, and a question you did ask a while ago, if we ever change anything, I think if we ever go back and change anything, it would just be add a main menu and probably an end screen. And that would probably be the main thing we'd probably add and then probably finish. So
yeah.
Cool. Very cool. We did get a question that came in. Did you use Unity Universal Render Pipeline for the lighting?
Our Unity guy's not here right now. I don't know exactly what he used for the lighting effects. I know that this is different than our Unreal one. It felt like Unreal had a lot easier of a way to add atmospheric effects than Unity did. So the Unreal version we had kind of was a little bit more like spooky-ish, would you say, Jeff, with like smoke and fog?
Yeah.
And stuff.
Yeah, we definitely tried to make it dark in that. I'm pretty sure the source code is open source, so you could check that out if you want the answer for that. I'm sorry that our Unity guy can't answer that.
That is A-okay. What was your guys' inspiration for the music and the sound effects?
Sure. Well, I was working on a track that I didn't put out, and it was kind of like a krautrock. Like I like the soundtrack to GTA 5. It was going to be kind of like that. I had like some heartbeat type stuff, a bass line, and so we didn't go with that. It's a spooky horror thing. Kyle came up with it. I don't really like writing horror music because it makes people's like stomach hurt, and like I don't know. It's not what I excel in. But he did a really good job in that. And as I was listening to it, I have been learning drums recently, and I was like, oh, I could probably do like a little heartbeat thing, and like maybe add an echo and like a Freddy Krueger like kind of thing. And so I pitched that to him, and yeah, I mean like tropes and cliches in movies and games, I think, are what you look to for art or music. For the sound effects, we used a lot of free sound stuff. Freesound.org is a place that you can get a ton of sound effects. And we just go through those and try to find like kind of the most dynamic, best sounding things. And I try to get some variations for the programmers that they can choose to use or not.
What was the song that we used at the end? I'm drawing a blank on it.
Yeah. Okay, so when we started out, I was looking for versions of Amazing Grace to do. I thought we were gonna do like a remix of that, maybe make like I knew my friend was good with synths, and I thought we were gonna do like a Stranger Things Amazing Grace kind of thing. But in looking for that, I found an amazing like funk remix that I liked a lot. And so I shared that with them, and that's what ended up being on the kill screen. If you have the time to listen to it, it's really good, and so you might as well just like sit around and listen to the rest of it.
And I love it. Are there any other games that you guys are creating, both either individually or as a team?
Yeah, Cal is working on one.
Yeah, I'm working on basically an ARPG spaceship shooter game where basically it's you're kind of like Galaga where you fly around, you fight enemies, but it's not a bullet hell where your screen is covered with attack or like bullets and things you're dodging. It's more ability based, so like your spaceships have like a fireball-esque attack or frostbolt, things you're used to in RPG games in fantasy settings. And Jeff's has been like working with me on the music and sound for that. And so, that's really one of the things we're working on there.
And I've been working on some music projects and a podcast thing that I'm working on. Covers one of my favorite bands and like the music theory and songwriting behind what they did. Cool. That's called Spilled Theory, if anybody wants to check it out.
Perfect. And where would we be able to keep track of things like Spilled Theory and this awesome space shooter that we have in the works? How would we find you guys?
Well, for the game, it'll be on. They're on itch. The game for the spaceship game will be fully public later this month. But right now, if you just join the Discord, you get an automatic key to be able to play the prototype. Why we're working on that, and then for
so I posted on anchor.fm/spilled theory, but then you can find it on like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you want a podcast, you can find it.
And you guys have a social media link that we can follow you guys and your future products.
Mm-hmm. Do we post those in chat or say them?
You can say it. You can post it in chat so that it's there and people can easily find it as well.
Well, on itch for me, it's a Dragon Energy Studios is what all the games get posted under. So.
And I tend to use the name @JTN on Instagram or Discord or whatever. And I have a Bandcamp that uses my IRL composer name, Jeff Nichter, and you can follow that if you want to.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for coming in, for participating in the Global Game Jam, and for creating this super cool Jim Shorts grave-robbing game of wonder. And we hope to see more from you guys soon, and we will be back with another game shortly.
All right, well, thank you.
Welcome back in, everybody. We have another game to showcase with you guys. This is Adrift, and today we have Kira to tell us a little bit about this. How are you doing today, Kira?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Not too bad. So tell us about Adrift.
So Adrift is a kind of 3D first-person puzzle game where you play as the lone crewman of a broken spaceship adrift out in space, and you need to go through your many lockers and boxes of things and parts to find the pieces you need to fix your ship before you fall into a black hole. It's really simple, really low scope. It's just poke the doors, get the pieces, put them in the right places, and do it before you die.
Very cool. Was this your very first global game jam?
This was, yeah. I've been kind of game jam adjacent for a long time, but never managed to find the time over a weekend. But this year I had time. Friday, or the day before, I said, you know what? I can make this work this time. Let's try it. Let's see how it goes. And it was a really interesting experience. Working remotely was definitely a familiar experience for me, but working remotely with people who I've never seen or never met before was a new thing. It was a fun experience. Great people. I built this with programmer Taro of Omiya Games and a sound designer whose name is Tony, and I'm blanking on his last name. I'm sorry, Tony. Everybody's linked on the Game Jam page, so go check out their stuff.
Perfect. That was linked in chat for anybody who is viewing the stream right now. So definitely go take a look at the game. Take a look at the team that participated in this. Kira, being a first-time global games jams person, how was the experience? Would you recommend anything? Do you have any advice for anybody else who would be a first-time comer?
Be ready to be flexible, I guess. You never really know what's going to happen on these game jams. You're not going to know what kind of game you're building or who you're going to be building with or what skills they're going to have. So be ready to wear many hats and make it work in 48 hours.
And would you do another global game jam?
Oh, absolutely. This was a lot of fun.
I love the enthusiasm. That is fantastic. And has game jams and this global game jam, has it impacted your career in game development at all?
I've actually been doing a digital art and animation Bachelor of Arts for the last 3.5, almost 4 years now, and so I was kind of on this track already. I don't know if this has changed my path at all, but it's certainly been a fun installation in the journey.
That is great to hear. Are you planning on making more games?
Oh, absolutely. I'm working on a 3D remake of a 2D game I built a couple of years ago called Surge. The trailer's on YouTube if anyone wants to look it up. It's about a fallen star. It's an endless runner where you dash through a futuristic city full of neon signs, breaking neon signs to recharge yourself so you can get back to the sky. It's cute and it's fun.
Very cool. And did you find any obstacles that you had to overcome or anything particularly more beneficial and easier because of it being online this year?
That is a good question. I personally find being able to be at home and having all of my tools and being in my own space to be really supportive of work product and work output. So being able to kind of stay in my own ecosystem but still be working with people, I found was a really effective way and a really good tool for me to get this done.
And what is one thing that you learned during this jam that has definitely helped to impact how you develop games or any of your art for the future?
It certainly gave me a bit more understanding of using Unity. I've used Unity before, but mostly just to create scenes and not actually to hook anything up with behavior or animation or anything like that. I don't know if this is like game career altering or anything like that, but getting to play in Unity's sandbox and learn more about that system was a lot of fun and a good learning experience.
Cool. And how many people were on this team?
Just the three of us. Me doing art pretty much made everything that you see except for the particle effects. One programmer who also handled the animations, and then our sound designer.
Wow. And was there any difficulties with just the three of you? Did that pose an issue?
Ooh, it certainly impacted our scope. I would have loved to have more people and be able to take this to a higher level of polish and complexity, but with just the three of us, I think we made something that was short, sweet, and fun.
I think it's spectacular for the short time limit and such a small team. This is spectacular build.
Thank you.
Would you want to go back and add anything new to this?
Ooh, I would love to overhaul all of the visuals and make it feel a little bit more like a complex spaceship and expand on the scene outside the window. So instead of a yellow sphere, it's actually a star or a black hole or something. But it is what it is, and it worked out pretty well. It does the job.
Very cool.
This is so. I'm a disembodied voice in the Twitch chat here, but this is awesome.
Thank you.
So you did all of the art with this?
Yeah, so like I said, I've been working on a BFA in digital art and animation. I've been focusing on 3D modeling, and this is kind of what I do. This is, putting things together and creating spaces that feel fun to interact with. That's my jam.
The details are just really, really quite something. Like I'm looking at the cabinets and they're just.
I will say, I used a tool called Substance Painter, which is a very powerful procedural texturing tool that let me take advantage of a collection of complex materials. So I didn't hand paint any of this. This was all
so cool.
Very fast.
Wow.
Oh wow.
That's really, really neat. There's so many different assets going on, so it's really that's one thing that I like about game jams is like how you said with scope, especially with 3 people. It's in 48 hours. There's not a whole lot of time to do something, but it really looks like you all maximized your use here. It looks like a very polished experience.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Even the cabinets, look how they just kind of. It's really cool.
Yeah. Tara did a great job putting that together. He did all of the hooking up and the animating of those props, and so yeah, really made it come to life.
It's really, really cool.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the story behind the game? Is there a backstory? Is there lore to this being adrift in space?
I think that you could ascribe as much story to this as you kind of wanted to. This is very much a function-focused build. At this point, I think we could take the story in a lot of really interesting directions. Who knows why you're adrift in space? What happened to your ship? Where are you trying to go? There's a lot more that we could explore with more iterations and more polish. But we didn't do a whole lot of thinking about that for this particular build.
Nifty. And would you, if you were going to expand on this game, would you give us more space to roam around, more hidden things to find in a bigger ship?
Yeah, I would want to give you more of a whole ship to explore. Some different types of spaces, an engine room with some cool parts that you can directly place these props into. More variety in those props. I think we were able to build an oxygen tank, a fuel cell, a nav computer ball, and an antimatter cartridge, but more generic parts like wiring cables, insulation paneling, stuff like that, so that there's more of a puzzle element to fixing those ship parts. That would have been really fun to explore as well.
Okay. Are there any games that you are creating outside of this? You did mention one that you're creating, you're editing from a 2D that you're bringing up. Is there anything else that you are creating for us?
All the time. Most of my stuff tends to be on the lower scope side. I'm building that Surge remake with a team of 4 other people, but most of my work is solo stuff, so it's more in the order of like, here's a scene, here's a character, as opposed to a complete game.
Fantastic. And where can we keep in touch with all of your endeavors or the team's endeavors? Because you did have a rather small team who worked spectacularly on this game. Is there a social media platform that we can follow you on to find more information about it?
I am definitely easiest to find on ArtStation. If you search for Kira Premack, I'm the only one. As far as the rest of my team, I know that Taro has a small studio name, Omiya Games, Omiya. sure that somebody can drop a link in the chat for me. But I'm not positive about our sound designer, so I will have to have more information about that.
Sounds good. Was this a team that you worked with before? Was this the first time working with these other people for the Global Game Jams?
100%. Yeah, I kind of dropped in and said, "Hi, I'm here. Who wants to do stuff?" And they very kindly and very skillfully helped me out and put together this game. So, yeah, brand new people, but had a good time.
That's great. And you guys, I mean, at least by the execution of the game, it looks like you guys meshed together super well.
Yeah. It was really straightforward, to be honest. I think that Taro has had a lot of experience doing these game jams. I think he's one of the folks who runs the Albany site's global game jam. So he was very capable, very experienced, and it was very easy to say, "Here's what we want to build," and he would just make it happen. So it was I think it was a really good experience. It worked out really nicely.
Great. Well, is there anything else that you want to add that I may have missed as far as the Global Game Jams, your experience with it, or Adrift?
Nothing leaps to mind. I had a lovely time. I will be here next year.
We are super stoked that you will be here next year. We definitely enjoyed having this game on. Thank you for coming to join us and for the spectacular 3-man team that just executed this great game.
Thank you very much.
And guys, we will be back with another game for you shortly. Perfect. Welcome back, everybody. We have another game from the Global Game Jam. We're here with Camden to tell us a little bit about Lost Bird and this peaceful, wonderful music I hear in the background. How are you doing today, Camden?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Not too bad. So tell us about Lost Bird.
Nice. So Lost Bird is a game about a bird who migrates, and then through a series of unfortunate weather events, like we're kind of having outside right now, gets separated from his flock, and his journey to find his flock was going to be the central thesis of the game. But as the game jam got more time crunchy, things switched around a little bit, and I think we ended up with something nice. But
it's definitely a beautiful game. I watched a trailer earlier, and it's a gorgeous looking game. It's so simplistic in such wonderful ways with great sound. Tell us about your team. How big was the team? Have you guys worked together before?
Thank you. So the team was 6 people, and I have worked with one of them before. I'd worked with Marcel, one of the programmers, on a couple of different projects before, actually. But it was my first time working with Alex and James and Ronnie and Trent. These are the rest of the team, the designers, the programmers, the music people. But it's always nice to work with new people and, kind of experience different people's workflows.
100%. And was this your first game jam, let alone your first global game jam?
This was my 3rd global game jam with Seattle Indies, I think, but my first time kind of being active in talking to people and actually participating outside of just making a game. And this is... I do a lot of jams. This is probably more than my 10th jam, but I really like them.
Very cool. What keeps you coming back to game jams?
Probably the relatively low time commitment, right? It's just I can set aside one weekend, work on this, and then kind of set it aside, say I'm done with that. Whether it was good or bad, lessons have been learned.
100%. I imagine there is quite a bit that you're going to learn in a 40-hour stint of just crunching out an indie game.
Yeah, there's a lot to games. You find out pretty quickly.
As a veteran in the game jams, do you have any advice for anybody who wants to join or a first timer?
I would definitely say the first, maybe even couple times, try and work with people that you know, because it's fun working with new people, and meeting new people and everything. But if you're trying to do that while also trying to work, I don't know. It depends on what you want, I guess. If you want to make the best game possible for your first jam, I would say 1, try a different goal, because that's a recipe for failure. But 2, work with people that you know, because it's an easier kind of slope if you're already friends working with them again.
Makes sense. How was the online format for you? Did that impact the creative process? Did it impact the ability to create the game? Was there any more obstacles, or was there things that you found easier because of the online platform this year?
There are some things that are easier, for sure. During a physical jam, some people have to go home early because they have a long commute to the PAXI or whatever, or they take public transit. So it was definitely people were able to commit a little bit more time, I think, because there was less for commuting and having to leave PAXI to find somewhere that's not super expensive to eat and everything. But it is definitely kind of harder because you can't just reach over to somebody else's monitor and fix something real fast. If they're just not seeing something and there's a button that needs to get checked somewhere, it's you gotta turn on your screen share, and then it's a little bit more of an ordeal.
That makes sense. Can you tell us more about the music in this game? It's a very serene and peaceful music.
Yeah, I didn't work on the music whatsoever, but Trent Moriarty did a great job. I was just kind of I want to make kind of a storybook looking game, kind of a children's illustrative look, and then he just came back with this. I'm like, this is exactly what I wanted. Thank you.
That's great. What was your process for creating the birds?
So I started out by kind of looking for reference online, and like I had a couple things that I wanted to do. Like I wanted the like kind of dual tail feathers. That was one thing that I was like, that's a cool looking feature on some birds. I wanna replicate that. But I was looking for reference mostly, and then kind of like roughing out. I tried a couple different like attempts at shapes of stuff, but this one was the one where I was like, there's something here. I like how round this man is. But yeah, it was kind of an iterative process more so than most jam assets I do, because for the most part it's just like, all right, we don't have time. Here's the first attempt and it's gone. But since there was not a ton for like the modeling side of the art load, at least, I was able to spend a little bit more time on it, and it was nice.
It's definitely well done. There's a lot of details there that you don't see so often in a 48-hour time period, because it is so crunched.
Yeah, there's not normally a lot of time to, like, this is the first time doing a jam, I think, that I've that I personally at least have like tried to like hand paint texture something and not just like flat colors, procedural texture. Which,
that
like,
makes sense.
There's nothing wrong with that, and it definitely looks super good. But like in some cases, to just use like the more typical workflow for jam stuff. But
was there? No, go ahead. Good. You enjoyed?
I was just gonna say that I'm not normally big into like texturing because I don't get a chance to practice it, so it's not something that I'm super like fluent at. But it was a lot of fun to spend like a couple hours, I think, just texturing it. It was a nice break from like not quite understanding how I wanted to model it, and then not quite understanding how I was gonna rig it.
How did you guys come up with the idea of the game, the birds, the flock coming in? Because I know the theme was lost and found. Did you guys have a general idea of what you wanted to do before the announcement of the theme?
Yeah, so I had kind of a rough idea that was just like, it was originally kind of gonna be more like sentimental. Like the original kind of thought was, oh, what if I like move away from like my friends or whatever, and then I move back, or kind of like a more human lost and found about friendship. And then I was like, but what about Bird? And then Bird won out in my mind, and then I pitched it in the Seattle Indies Discord and got everybody else on board. And yeah, from there we fleshed it out.
Stuck.
Yeah, we fleshed it out more as a group, and then time constraints crushed it down a little bit more. But I think the theme comes across in a nice way. So
definitely. Would would there be anything that you'd want to change in the game or add to the game now that the game jam is over?
Originally, we were gonna like start the game with you like hatching out of your like eggshell and like growing up from a small bird into like an adult bird with your like flock. And I feel like more time than like literally just the main menu background here is the only time that you like spend with your flock outside of like the section where you actually lose them. So more time before to like feel more connected to your flock, I guess, but I don't even know how you would go about doing that, let alone doing that during a game jam. So
we did have Shark Tears in chat say, yay, Candom, so awesome collaborating with this team. Lost Bird, I did audio and sound. Whole team was rad and awesome to work with. We actually touched on the sound, Shark Tears, because the sound effects and the audio, the music is spectacularly done and is a wonderful, serene addition to the story.
Yeah, it really is so good. It makes it.
And are you making any other games outside of the game jam?
I tend to work on stuff off and on, and then either get stuck on something and then switch projects or something. But you can find all of those half-finished projects, like a twin stick dialogue thing, on my Twitter, which is @Camzone.
Perfect. And you've said that you've done a number of game jams. Are you looking forward to, are you definitely going to participate in the next Global Game Jam?
I'm definitely going to do Global again. It's a lot of fun.
And would you want to work with the same team?
I'm definitely down to if they are, but yeah, for sure.
Very cool. So can you tell us one more time where we can keep in touch with you and the games that you are creating?
Yeah, so it's @Camzoin on Twitter, CAMZOIN, and that links out to my ArtStation as well.
Very cool. Thank you so much for participating in the Game Jam this year and for coming here today to show us this wonderfully beautiful game. And we will see you soon. And definitely keep in touch with more of your work. And we'll be right back with another game for you guys on stream. And we are back with Team Boldy and Where's My Keys? It's a great theme for a great game title for the theme this year, which was Lost and Found. How are you guys doing today?
Doing well.
Cold. Doing great. Doing great. Doing cold.
Yep.
Doing cold. I understand
Yeah.
that. We've got quite a few people in here for this one, guys. Are you guys the whole team that's in here with me today, or are you guys missing some people?
There should be everyone.
Yep, full team.
Yep.
All right, so we have the full team of Team Boldy to tell us more about Where's My Keys. Tell us about this game, guys.
Yeah. So we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves, and then we'll go one by one. So Louis, if you want to start us off.
All right, I'm Louis. I did the sound and the music for this game. Yeah.
I'm Brad. I did I did development, engineering for the game. Mainly focused on kind of the environmental stuff and a lot of like prefab assembly and everything, because this was very asset intensive. So yeah, I think Brandon, you're next.
Yeah. Hi everybody. My name is Brandon. I'm one of the 3D artists on the team. Basically, a lot of the environment layout and a lot of the models that you see that you're throwing around in the environment was stuff that was done by me. I also did a little bit of the 2D art for the menus, and happy to be here.
So I'm Jaden. I did a lot of the programming, specifically around like the level flow and like the character controller and everything, and then also helped out with a lot of like the physics assets and things, because we had a lot.
My name is Brandon, also known as Producer Brandon. So did a lot of the task management, making sure that we had the appropriate tools to collaborate virtually, and also did a few of the 2D images. So I sourced all the paintings and pictures around the house, and then did a lot of the asset placement in the environment.
Hi, I'm Zach, and I am 3D artist number 2. So a lot of like furniture assets, the keys.
Well, very cool. I'm so happy that you guys, especially the whole team, to be here today. Thank you guys for coming in to tell us about this.
Yeah.
I think the title is pretty self-explanatory here, but tell us more about the completely demolishing that is happening right now on this screen to find these keys.
Yeah, so we kind of came up with this idea just thinking about like the situation that everyone gets in, where they are running late for some kind of event, they need their keys, and they cannot remember where they put them. So we just kind of wanted to create like a very exaggerated version of that, as you can see, where you're just like destroying absolutely everything, ripping your apartment apart, just trying to find them. So we,
Like
yeah.
Superhuman, ripping off the door to the stove and everything. But continue, please.
No, from the start, I was just gonna say we really wanted to capture kind of that rage fantasy of like you've misplaced your keys and you just want to tear everything apart looking for them, and so we wanted to build like this frenetic feel, lots of stuff in your way, put it in places that were absolutely absurd. Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah, overall, I played this game, and like we talked about this idea, and like it's very personal to me, as far as like, because I feel like I've personally been in this circumstance of like, oh gosh, I can't find my cell phone, and like for whatever reason I get really irritated when I lose things, and like I just like felt like, oh, like we should totally make a game about this, because like I feel this way, and like when I watch this, it's like I can totally understand the feeling of like, where the heck is it? And you just want to tear everything apart. And there's something that's really nice about like, I mean, maybe nice isn't the right word, but like having this kind of superhuman, cathartic is the right way to put it. Like how you can just kind of have this sort of superhuman way of like, I'm gonna shove this whole couch over this bed, these drawers, everything, and like, yeah, like we were inspired by a couple games that like also had this similar feeling of like you're trying to accomplish this one simple goal, but there's just tons of collateral damage. What was the game? Kill It With Fire, I think, was the one that we all looked at a lot, which is like it's an indie game where you're trying to like kill a spider in your house, but you have a bunch of outrageous weapons. In order to do so, like you have like these shuriken that you're like throwing at the spider in this like small like studio apartment, and like eventually you're like shooting it with a gun and like have like a flamethrower, and so like you'll at the end of the day like you end up getting the spider, but like and you finish the level, but like you look at the level and it's like on fire, your apartment's on fire, like all the furniture and chairs are everywhere, and like we kind of wanted to capture that kind of chaos. So yeah,
and that kind of ties back to like that overarching scene at the end where it cuts out and you're able to see the mayhem that you've caused. Just kind of to close that loop and say like, this is what you've done to find your keys.
Look at what you've done.
Yeah, but at what cost?
But the mayhem is wonderful. I imagine it is super, super satisfying to just run around and demolish everything in search of your keys. 100%. Is this your guys' first game jam, let alone the very first global jam that you guys have participated in?
I think so. It's kind of a mixture. Go ahead, Brandon.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think everyone else but me has done a game jam, and this is my first experience to everything.
Yeah, I know this is my first global game jam, but I've definitely done smaller ones with friends or at school when I was still in college.
Yeah, this is not exactly my first game jam, but this is my first global game jam with this group. So yeah.
Yeah, same with me. I've done a couple before, and then this is my first global game jam. Sorry, go ahead.
My first global game jam too. So, unless Louis, you have some global game jam experience that I'm not aware of. I think this was everyone's.
Yeah, I've done a couple of global game jams before and other game jams too, but this is the first time we've all worked together though, at the very least.
Yeah.
Very cool. Would you guys come back for another global game jam first? And I know one of you said this was your first jam. How did that go for you?
So it was scary at first, and I think after, the game that we were able to create in such a short amount of time, I think we're all very happy with how it turned out. And so it was just a really positive experience, and seeing all the good feedback from this Discord. It just felt awesome, and so I think in general it was just a very rewarding experience, and I would definitely want to come back and do another one.
It's great to hear. And how did you guys like the global game jam? How'd you like it online? Because a lot of the jams are in person, and we've had a tough year, and being online is definitely an obstacle in itself. Did you find things to be more easy or easier to accomplish certain goals, or did you find it to be more of a difficult process because of that?
I mean, I feel like any of those times where you want a lot of people around one screen and everybody's kind of going off of one person's monitor, that's kind of difficult. But I think it's just kind of like a trade-off. Some things were easier than others, and some things were more difficult.
Yeah,
I don't know how y'all feel about it.
Yeah, this is my first general experience. I don't know what it would look like in person, but we did run into a couple issues with me trying to push a commit through Unity and having a conflict there, and then having to share my screen and getting a couple people looking at it and say, click here, click there. And so I think with those certain issues, it becomes difficult. But we also try to incorporate some tools to facilitate our collaboration. And so we used Miro for kind of brainstorming and highlighting our inspiration and our workflow and what that would look like. And then we also use Trello for managing tasks. And so I think that kind of helped make things a little bit more intentional as to how we went through the process. And so that's kind of how we kind of try to make it easier to collaborate online. But there were a few challenges which maybe in person would be a bit easier to go through.
Yeah, I want to also say we also spent a lot of time kind of hanging out in our team Discord just to kind of try to replicate that feel of being like close to each other and being able to like quickly share a
Yeah.
screen or talk about something. So I feel like that worked really well for us.
Yeah, there are several instances where like one of us was running into a problem, and just like being able to like share our screen instantaneously across Discord was like super duper helpful. Shout outs to producer Brandon for like the Miro board and like Trello. Like the Miro board was like a really great way of like
Yeah,
putting
Miro
up.
was really helpful.
Yeah. It's super helpful to just put a bunch of stickies on a board and like have notes on them. Like when we were brainstorming, it was easy to like connect ideas and like put pictures for like visual inspiration and like it was probably like I think the next best thing you could have had to like having a literal physical whiteboard like in a space where we're all together. So yeah.
What I would say to people like this is my first game jam where we had someone in like a producer role like Brandon, and oh my goodness, it is so helpful. Like if anyone is watching this and like is doing a game jam and someone offers to like be a producer on your team, just take them up on it, because it is so helpful to have that person with like the 3,000 foot overview of everything and kind of like making sure everyone's doing the right tasks and ideating well.
Yeah, I'm glad it was useful. I think part of it is like, as a producer or like project manager, you're trying to see that 10,000 foot view of what's going on, and you kind of remove that responsibility from people who are developing so that they can focus on what they're good at, and then say like, hey, like maybe we try to solve this in a different way, or maybe we should focus on these other tasks, and not having to worry like, okay, is this the best thing I could be working on now, or how do we go on from here? But then also as a producer, it's like, for me, it was like, I can't be staring at our tasks tracker for 48 hours. So I offered to kind of take up all the kind of dirty grunt work of finding 2D images or going through and placing all the assets. So all the stuff that it's relatively easy to pick up and like I could do through a quick YouTube search. It's kind of how we were able to kind of at least make it easier so that the artists are able to do what they do best, and same for the programmers and composers. So.
Very cool. What inspired the cartoony art style? And with that, did the cartoony art style make it an easier thing or more challenging thing in development?
It was definitely ease.
Yeah. We definitely like we like there was a couple functions of like why it's like this kind of flat toony kind of shading style. Like one is definitely easy. Like we since most things are like a solid color, we don't have to worry a ton about unwrapping, texturing. Like I think our goal was to create density of objects rather than detailed objects. So like
we had so many individual assets that it wasn't going to be feasible. We would have needed like double the artists if we wanted like texture things, even just really basic texturing.
Right. And in general too, like the kind of like light sort of pastel colors around the environment are meant to kind of, it's meant to make the game feel kind of fun and like, kind of get you like in the mood that this is like a cartoon, that you're not meant to take it super, super seriously. Like I can imagine this, like if this game was made like a super realistic, physically based rendered game, like it would maybe have a different kind of feeling. Like when as you're trying to find your keys, you're like literally destroying a real place, and we didn't want to take it that far. Like we wanted to make this feel lighthearted.
Yeah. Well, I think our simple style also just makes it very visually clean. Like it's a game about making something messy, and I feel like if it was very textured and very like shadow heavy, it would just get really messy and it would be visually noisy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of I mean, obviously the artist had like all to say this, but a lot of our early talks were about juxtaposition. So that comes through in the music and kind of the art direction. I think that they all did an amazing job there.
Very cool. On that note, what was the process of sound design and implementation for something like this, where there are tons of things flying around?
In terms of like sound effects, I pretty much just pulled up like a long list of just clutter and clatter, just shaking stuff around the table, smashing things, and then just recorded those and put them right in. I felt like realistic sound effects would work best because we're at least very shattery. Like lots of it is just glass shattering, because I feel like that would be most satisfying sort of sound you would get.
Yeah,
And,
Lee went the extra mile of getting real, real sounds, smashing eggs, smashing things around the house. It was awesome.
That sounds
At
like
one
an
point,
extremely fun process.
At one point, Louis had to come on and let us know that he was going to be stepping away for a little while to clean up after a big egg smashing session.
He had a
So-
big bag of broken glass and eggs.
Yeah, shoving around cardboard boxes. Like it was always really fun to check in and be like, "Hey, what's the Foley now?" Like it's and yeah, we thank you so much for your work.
There were some interesting sounds in the background as well.
Yeah.
That is great. How was working with this many people on the team? Was this a better thing? Would you guys have? Do you think it would have been more complicated with a smaller team? Do you think there was complications with the larger team?
I think we hit the sweet spot, honestly, in terms of people.
Yeah, in terms of what we
Yeah.
wanted to do, we kind of stumbled upon like a vision that like matched up really well with the amount of people we had.
Yeah, I don't think at any point there was ever a too many cooks kind of situation where like I feel like two programmers, two artists, or composer and the producer. Like it just felt like all the main roles were there, and like there was never a ton of like stepping on each other's work or like if anything, like of course we were trying to like fill out this, like speaking from the art side, it's like, oh, I always want to add more and more and more props. Like maybe another artist like could have chipped in, but like I don't know. Like I think like for all the communication and all the kind of upkeep that you have to deal with like extra people, like I think I still feel pretty good about our team size and how that worked out.
One thing that helped us a lot too is that we had a fair amount of experience from a technical direction, not necessarily within the game jam environment, but I think everyone has worked on something kind of related to this in the past. So when it came to like using Git and whatnot, we had a pretty good grasp on what we were doing. We ran into a few small issues, but I know a lot of people reported some much larger issues with Git, and I sympathize. It's a difficult thing, especially if it's relatively new to you. So that could actually kind of hamper that collaboration with multiple people on the team. But we were lucky enough not to run into that too much.
Good. So Unity featured this game on stream. How did you guys feel about that? What was your reaction to that?
Oh my god. I dropped my phone like when I saw the notification. I'm like, what? And so like I actually sat and like watched the segment, and I was just so floored and like flabbergasted. Just like, oh my god, like they're looking at our game.
Yeah, it was
like
wild.
really excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just ruins all future experiences. I'm like, wait, this is normal, right, guys? Like, this is launch a game, get it put on Unity stream. That's cool. I like it.
Yeah, it was just super surprising. Just an amazing feeling to like see something that we had made get so much attention. We definitely did not expect it at all.
Yeah, and that people are having fun.
Yeah. We were on the whole, like I've been just very touched and blown away by like the positive reception. When I talk when people play this game and they usually come away laughing from it and they're like, oh man, you guys made a fun thing. I was like, oh wow, thank you.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. Fun is a hard thing to predict. It just kind of happens, and when it happens, you're just really glad that it's there.
Yeah, and I think it was awesome kind of hear like all the like things that we were discussing of like the feel of the game, the art style, the hecticness and the music and all of that, how all that meshes together, and like the small comedic factor to that. And it's awesome to see that, okay, people understand that was our intention, and it reads well, and it's not just us thinking like, yeah, this is gonna be fun and this is gonna come off as like a funny game to do. And it was just great to see that people also enjoyed it in the same manner.
It does seem like there are quite a few people, even in our chat today, that do relate to this entire process. We have people in chat when this just seems like every morning before work, or this gameplay is too real. It's like looking for my keys or phone or wallet right before you have to leave. So it definitely resonates with quite a few people, and it's spectacular.
It's really awesome to hear because when we first started this project, my first knee-jerk reaction to the proposal of the idea, it was a great idea, by the way, but I was like, this seems so natural to me that I feel like there are going to be a lot of people making a similar game when it comes to Lost and Found, and that we're going to be kind of in the middle of that herd. And just to see that it was a representation that resonated for people was amazing. Yeah.
That was great. There is a piano track that is here, and it is wonderful. Is that original music from the jam?
Yeah, that was something I wrote for it. I really felt like classical music was the right choice because it just like the juxtaposition between like just outrageous violence towards your furniture and then like a hectic piano piece would just work perfectly. And there's this game called Rock of Ages where the music it's original composition, but it borrows from actual classical pieces, and eventually like it'll actually pop up. So if you listen to the song, there's a classical piece called Dance of the Goblins by Bazzini that'll like pop in right in the middle, and like once you know the piece, you'll recognize it. And even in the title piece, that's actually Grieg's Morning Mood, which a lot of people should recognize, which comes in eventually if you sit in the title screen long enough.
Now, was there anything you guys wished you could have added or thought of before the game jam and before creating this game? And is there anything that you want to add or plan to add now that the game jam is over?
Probably screaming.
There's about a 1,000 page long list of rants in our Discord about different things we'd like to do.
we did at one point. We were really hoping we could have gotten this in, but we wanted to like have like a meter build up, and then you could just scream, and it would just send everything flying. Just kind of have like a release of frustration.
Yeah, I think that was the last cut, right?
Yeah, that was the last thing we cut.
We wanted a few more special effects too. We didn't really get to do as many of those as we'd like.
Yeah, I think. I mean, yeah, I also have similarly like. There's so many things I wanted to add, but like, I guess the first thing is like density. Like, I'm trying to think of like, what would this place feel like if there was like twice the amount of objects that you could like toss around and like blow apart.
Yeah, the reason there's so many boxes is because we actually like early on we were like, if we can't like fill this apartment up, we can at least just make like 2 or 3 box models and then just like fill that in where we're missing things. So yeah,
I think like one of my favorite parts about this jam was just kind of the improv of like just kind of like looking at the Discord every so often and just someone else having another crazy idea of like, hey, what if we just had like a room that just was like full of keys or something, like, or like what if we hit like fake keys, or like we open a closet and like it just avalanches with stuff on top of you. Like there was just no shortage to like the kind of like funny kind of sort of visual jokes that you could make like while like messing with this environment. So yeah, like that's the kind of stuff I think about.
Tucking the key in the drywall, stuff like that.
Right. Like you'd have to punch through a wall to like find your keys, or like somehow like your keys are like in the pipes. Like, how did this get here? Like, huh? Like,
I enjoy the rage simulation for the keys. It is so relatable in so many ways. It's wonderful. Does Team Boldy have any future plans? Are you guys gonna work together to create any other games? Are you guys individually creating more games? Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, we're definitely. I mean, we were talking about doing another game jam, so we're certainly open to doing more work together.
Yeah. There's no concrete plans, but I think loose collaborations are definitely something we would all want to do together at some point.
Yeah, it was a really good positive team experience.
Yeah, and it was the first time that we've all worked together, and so I think it was just a lot of luck of finding people that, I mean, everyone was really helpful and like understanding and like I think everyone just had the same goal of like, we're gonna make something in 48 hours. It's gonna be fun. So yeah, I think in the future we are probably gonna work on something. And I think Jaden, you have some of your own personal projects that you work on. I'm not sure if others have other items.
Yeah, I have a game on Steam called Aeroball, which is pretty cool. You should check it out if you play games like that on Steam. But yeah, I think, to answer the question of will we work together, will we do separate projects? The answer is yes to all of those things.
Yeah, I think at the very tail end of while we were like watching the presentations on the last day, like I think we were talking like, oh yeah, like isn't like maybe like Ludum Dare like around like that's in like April. Like I think we might have like maybe something during then. I don't know. Like it just kind of depends. But yeah, I would be more than happy to work with this group again. It's just really cool. Everything just seemed to click like pretty nicely.
And part of our like initial formation as a team, we had like a pre-meeting on Wednesday when the theme was announced. We kind of did the typical icebreakers, and that's kind of when we all found out that we all really love the game Hades. And I think we just pondered over that, and I think that helped kind of facilitate us communicating and kind of just understanding like, cool, all right, we have similar interests.
Yeah, we definitely united over our love of Hades, and that's why we're named Team Baldy.
Makes sense. It's a great game as well. With the game jams, was there anything that you learned or anything from the jams that have impacted you guys and your careers in game development?
So I think for me, I'm a software developer in another industry, but I've always kind of wanted to explore game development a little bit, and also get a feel for what architecture within a game looks like. And so this was extremely valuable for me. I'm not sure if that's necessarily going to change my career trajectory, but I know that it will lead to further work.
Yeah, I think I'm on a similar path where I'm interested in pursuing a career in the game industry, and this was kind of a good taster as to what that looks like, and understanding the different challenges that the different teams go through. I think overall it's just, I think collaborating virtually, I think I was able to kind of test a few things and see like, oh, this works out well, this doesn't work out too well. And so maybe those are things that I'll take back with me. But overall, it's just kind of given more energy towards like, oh, this is something I really want to do moving forward.
Yeah, I think for myself, like, especially since right now I'm working a day job, it's just really a nice reminder of how much I love to do this and how much enjoyment and satisfaction I get out of working on a project, working on a team of creative professionals. It's just a really, like, it's a nice refresher after, like, kind of doing your normal day-to-day thing.
Yeah, one thing you definitely, like, don't get out of social or solo projects is the ability to kind of collaborate with people who have different kind of fields of expertise and like different experience levels. So I think like learning to work with people in that way is something that's like extremely valuable, and I've definitely gotten it out of this game jam.
Yeah, and as for me, like my day job is I'm an environment artist at a larger studio, and like for game jams for me, like it allows me to kind of like, I mean, not only do like art was what I really like doing, but like I love like kind of touching all the other parts of it, game development too. I love like collaborating with folks and like coming up with the design from the ground up, and like, you know, having a voice and like, oh, like what should happen with the stuff here, and like. And I technically like I'm trying to like grow my skill set, and that I can maybe learn how to program and like make more of my own stuff, like and like understand like how Unity works. So like game jams are definitely a great like avenue for like just kind of sampling all the other disciplines, and at the same time come out with something really something strange and funny and cool, like just something weird that you wouldn't normally see like from like a bigger kind of game production. So yeah, game jams are great.
That is great to hear. Now, can you guys tell us a little bit as to where we can find you guys and any of your future projects, whether it's with Team Boldy or as an individual game developer? You guys have a social media platform or anything else that you can share with the stream?
Yeah, I have everyone's Twitter handles. I can post them in the Twitter, or in Twitch.
Perfect. That works out great. Guys, if you're paying attention to the stream, in chat, we just got the link for everybody's Twitter to keep track of this game of Where's My Keys, as well as any other future projects that are going to be worked on. Thank you guys of Team Baldy for coming in to join us today and not debut this game, but show us this game again here at this recap. This was wonderful. Thank you guys for joining in.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
for having us.
All right, stream. We have one more game for you guys, and we'll be back shortly. Welcome back, everybody, to the Global Game Jam's 2021 Seattle Indies Recap Show. And we're here with our final group. We have Zeal Labs to tell us a little bit more about Xip Xander, their game from this jam. How are you guys doing today?
Great. Thank you.
Spectacular to hear. Can you guys tell us a little bit more about you guys as developers and part of this team, and tell us a little bit more about Xip Xander?
Yeah, we've prepared a slideshow to go through all of that. Xip Xander is a puzzle platforming side-scroller game with some resource management aspects added to it. It was coded and all assets code and creation was done at the start of Global Game Jam, which was definitely an interesting and new experience for at least a couple of us. Sorry. Following the Lost and Found, we had a couple of ideas. One was a story element that actually ended up changing a couple of times, but then the other main part in the gameplay was having skills that you have to get rid of and pick back up as you get through to solve puzzles.
Very cool.
Here's a gameplay video that we have for us, and then we'll get to each of our individual parts.
Zeal Labs log 681.
Man, I am excited.
XIP.
How
testing
was
facility
the
AI that we
48
affectionately refer
hours
to as
in
Zip
condensing?
has been introduced to our
Condensed,
newest and most intelligent model of
I lost
directive
my train
executive
of thought
robot.
and words. I'm so
Sorry,
good
what
at
was
this. How was the 48-hour crunch that you guys had to go through for this? Is this your guys' first jam? Is it your first jam together? And is it your first global jam?
It was my first for all of those, and I'm so grateful and excited to have been welcomed into such a great team. This has been a wonderful first experience. It was definitely high pressure getting everything done from the story end. It was interesting because a lot of the story had to be done before a lot of the other stuff. So here, I'll let this video play.
XANDER.
And what part of the team were you, Joey?
I'm the writer and narrative designer. So I came up with the characters, Xip and Xander, and the story of what was going on, and then helped to guide the tone and the direction of the levels. So we had a designated level designer, so he created the outline for all of the levels. And then Kira, our programmer, actually built everything and put it all together.
You wouldn't understand.
And how big was your team?
We have 6 people, I think. Kira, Ryan, Kate, Templar, me, and Noah.
How did you guys feel about having this be online? I don't know if all of you guys are experiencing this for the first time as far as the game jam goes in general, but as well, I know a lot of our previous jams were in person. So was there any obstacles you guys faced or anything that you found easier to handle because of the online platform?
I work remote with a team already. I project manage and write stories for attention span games. And so we've had people who live in Taipei, in Canada, and all over the United States. And so I was already used to that part of it. And I actually thought it was a really great experience getting to meet more people from all over and be able to make a game like this without having to be in person.
Very cool.
Do we have everyone else on chat?
I think they're all hiding in here.
Okay, that's okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Well, just want to make sure I'm not hogging the mic.
No, I think you're good. Caitlin, if you are trying to talk, we're going to be using Discord for voice, just as a heads up.
Cool. Is that proper?
There we go.
Sounds good.
Right on. Yeah, awesome working remote with everyone. I loved because everyone was so spread out. It was a lot of fun. I did solo hype game jam earlier in the year, so working with people much better, even though it's remote.
Can imagine. Is this your second game jam since you worked the other one, or have you done more game jams in the past?
Last year's Global Game Jam was my first, so it's my third jam, and first with this team. Great team.
Very cool. Well, and do you guys, since one of you, this is your very first jam ever,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And since we have both a newcomer and a veteran, what would you guys give as advice to somebody who wants to join a game jam or is thinking about one?
I would say, first of all, do it, because I almost did a couple of other game jams. And then the first time was when I actually was like planning to go. Nearly my entire team that I had built to go do it bailed like a couple of hours before. And so then I thought that there was no way that I would be able to get on to a team with that short of notice. But I don't think that that's true. And even if not, it would have been great just to see everyone and put in the effort. So I would say, first of all, just do it. Don't be afraid. Don't let inhibitions get in the way.
Yeah, just tell them what you can do, because I'm just a voice actor and I always end up editing video too. So any skill that you have will probably be used.
Kate was a lifesaver with the video editing, for sure.
Every time I've edited video for the team, every jam.
Well, that's great. Well, anybody else here that is in chat, do you guys have any input, any advice that you would give to anybody who wants to join a jam?
I've been doing some game jams since 2015, so I've done a few. It is perfectly okay if your game doesn't run at the end of it. It is okay if everything falls apart. The whole purpose of it is to have fun and learn some new experiences. So even if things go sideways, I mean, 2 days later, it doesn't really matter. If you had fun, you met cool people, you had a great experience. It's enjoyable.
That is wonderful advice. Thank you guys for that. Has the Global Game Jam or any jams impacted your development career?
I have more Twitter followers now, which is at least partially because of this, which is actually really cool because I wanted to. I had been trying to find people on there to talk to that were game developers, and I was mostly only getting responsive connections with other writers, which is amazing and definitely a very helpful tool. But I really wanted to open my network with more game developers.
This is a really cool slideshow. Could you go into? I see there's game design here.
Yeah, we realized we were the only team with a slideshow.
No, it's so official. If y'all want to get back to
Yeah,
that,
for sure.
Or present to us.
Cool.
This is amazing.
Yeah. So I'll go back one. Kira was definitely the held the reins on this when we would get a little bit too many ideas of grandeur. Kira was definitely had the level head of what could be done and to make sure that we could get those things done the best. So keeping the scope small. These core abilities were a combination of the original concept was actually we had like 10 ideas, and so we ended up like smushing a bunch of them together to see, and this was 2 of the ideas. All of the different abilities, and then the grapple gear, which is the horizontal movement one. And then our artist came up with all of these interesting designs, which I guess the it'll be in one of the slides, but the attack one is supposed to be like an explosion hazard sign, which is neat. Sorry, I've been busy today. I'm like reading some of these slides for the first time. I absolutely love the way it was put together. It's so cool seeing a project from concept and then seeing it actually play out in front of you with all of the motions, the back and forth here. When I first did this, when testing it, I had to do a double take and come back just like in the scene. I was like, wait, that screen opens and closes? But here's one of the level designs before it got actually made into a level. So some of them end up a little bit differently in actual practice, but we had started out with the idea for like 9 of these and then dropped it down to 6. A couple of them were, for the story purpose, were the same, so it was like returning to the same level to like retrieve things or check on things, and that was an interesting part of the sort of narrative design of it, trying to figure out exactly where the narrative had to go between levels, and how the levels looked when you entered them. Already gone over this for the most part, but the story in general at first was kind of a very which we tried to avoid, but a portal idea of you're in a lab and you're trying to escape, and at first it was going to be that you're trying to get the AI in each level and then get out of the level, but then that part of the Lost and Found became more of a finding Xip's lost memories, and that's mostly just shown through the story, but there are some quips that got added into the levels since we showed it off at the original Global Game Jam. So you get a little bit, some more story hints and pieces while you're playing the level that Xip will mention, as well as some fun banter. The design for Xander, at first, I was asked what Xander should look like, and I, for the sake of Global Game Jam in the 48 hours, I definitely, unless there was any input needed, I told him to go nuts. One of the main things that I didn't want was Xander to be able to jump naturally, and I thought that he had a really cool idea with this to have the unicycle for legs, and also that helped. He didn't have to draw running animations, which made him happy. The cat face was probably one of my favorite parts of the weekend. We were up at around midnight Pacific time, so for me, I was up later than I normally am, and we had been having kind of a back and forth of what Xip's face or representation was going to be in the game, because we didn't know that the quips were going to get into the game, and they didn't yet even, and I really wanted Xip to actually be shown somewhere. And at first it was just going to be a digital face, like an emoji basically, and but Kira had drawn this face, just the frowny face, for the sort of restart the level suicide button, and when we were talking about that, I had referenced this saying, just do something like this, but like more of like a screen, like over here. And Kira posted, because I mentioned the comment, Kira posted this comment in this thread as the meme with a cat on it, and then started just posting cat memes. And so then I was like, all right, let's do Zip as a cat. That'll be more interesting. And had even planned something simpler than this, something more like this. And at first, I think people thought it was a joke, because Kira, even somewhere in here, was like, "Wait, we're really doing this?" And then I'm really happy with that. I thought the cat face gave Zip a lot more character. Another interesting thing that happened with the whole 48 hours thing is these two, the jump and the grapple gear, were supposed to be opposite colors, and it just made they didn't end up that way for whatever reason in implementation. It just made sense to switch it. But up to yesterday, when talking about the game, everyone still refers to the grapple gear as the blue ability and jump as the green ability, even though whenever we're playing it or showing it, it's not that. But we somehow know what we're talking about. Some more art. Things that actually got put into the game. And onto music. Noah?
Hey, so I'm Noah. I wrote the music for the game. This was my first game jam as well. It was me and Joey. It was our first game jams. And I feel like I really lucked out. I got to work with Kate and Ryan on the other audio, so sound effects and voiceover. And I got to focus on the music. So when we started out, I sort of made a style guide with things that I thought that could fit the game. And Joey and Ryan were super helpful. They gave me a ton of direction on things I sent them. My reference tracks that I used were a lot of stuff from Portal and from Machinarium, a couple more games. So I really mostly just wanted to make a synth-based track for all the robot stuff. So I split it up into 3 tracks. I started with a lighter kind of tutorial theme. It's more like bleep bloopy, nuts and bolts. I went with these like plucky synths and some more organic instruments as well. Joey, if you want to play that theme.
Yep. Oh, I have to request access.
Oh no.
Do you have access to the file to play it real quick?
Yeah. Give me
Okay.
1 second.
Sorry about that.
We can move on if you want, and just come back to me. I'll sort this out.
Okay. Kate, if you wanted to talk about the enigma that is Kate Burt.
Oh yeah. Dude, this is so much fun. Everyone was like, the whole team was fluid. It all started with the story for me, because I had, I don't know, not a lot of time to get in the voice acting or give a bunch of takes really. So having like really crisp, really fun narration written was all I had to go on. It was all I needed. It made it awesome. And rather than play it, should I just do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Zip is kind of a little bit snarky robot. He's like, come on, you bucket of bolts. Then just kind of eggs on Xander the whole time. And Xander just goes, "Vrr, vrr, vrr," which was Ryan's part. And Ryan was super helpful in helping me tweak the voices and make them sound robotic. And yeah, go ahead, Ryan, if you want to talk about sound effects, because they were delicious sound effects.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
I had 3 teams that I was working on because I have a problem saying no. So I went with a lot of sound editing. So I have a repository of about 270 gigs worth of sound effects. So I just went into my folder of all my sci-fi stuff and all my stuff that I've created with my I live on a farm, and so I have a junkyard and a shop. So I have a lot of Foley at my disposal. So I used a lot of those effects. I edited them by just taking little snippets of a sound and then expanding or condensing it depending on what, and then made a cohesive vision. So, and then with Kate's voice, I used a vocal synth on that. I used some sound toys, filter effects, and I had her voice running through about 5 tracks. So one with a synth, one pitched up, one pitched down, one was a dry track, and then another one was a filter on it. So merged them all, but tried to make them subtle. I had a lot of different takes. I had one with a melodic filter on it to make it sound more like GLaDOS, but that was thought to be a bit too much. So I had to do some pitching off a team to see which one they felt was the best. And then for Xander's, I had to take in some of those electronic garbly noises and tried to blend them into different formats to try and convey emotions based on whether or not it was pitching up or pitching down or sounding like anger or distress. The other cool thing was the movement. It's because it's a wheel-based robot instead of like a bipedal human, where every step is just a footstep. You've got the moving of a machine. So there's a takeoff sound for when he starts moving, which then goes into a loop sound of the sound of a wheel going. And it would keep continuously looping that 2-second loop until you reached a point where he stopped, and then he kind of just urges a little bit. So there's a sound of him stop, continuing and starting, and then all the other sound effects that you would see with Mission Complete and things like that.
I have to say that because I really part of what I had to do with that. Then when you sent me the sounds for Xander, like right here, I've written Xander makes grunting noise, and so I would go through each one and pick ones that were good. But in this dialogue up here with the like Zip responds with ship sounds, you actually went in later and added one up. He says, "Get up, you bucket of bolts." You added in a thing there, and I think in some other places. And I think that you had a really good eye for where to add.
I tell you, it was accidental then.
Well, I thought it was perfect.
Dude, I added some too. Because I had a beat for a response. Boom.
What do you say?
There's like when I left a beat for a response, I was like, Xander needs to respond here, and then I would throw in a grunt.
Okay, that was you. All right, that was awesome.
Yeah. I was like, I don't recall. I remember. I don't recall doing that. If I did, it was accidental.
I'm just giving credit away to the wrong people.
It's my fault. I went off script a little bit.
She sent a mix down of those files, so I just filtered them.
Cool. Noah, do we have an update on the music?
Yeah, it should work now. So yeah, if you just want to play that first theme, so that's the tutorial theme. It's kind of more collaborative and bleep bloopy.
Oh, sorry, that was louder than I expected.
So the next, the next theme happens at kind of a more significant turning point in the game. I know it would go under dialogue. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. So it happens over some dialogue. It's kind of more dark and ominous. So still using synths here, and brought back that harp from before, but with a bunch of filters on it.
It's where Zip realizes their dark past.
And then the last theme is an escape theme. It's a lot faster tempo, a lot more adrenaline, extra synthy. So kind of heavy electronic drums and synths. So yeah, three pretty different tracks for different situations in the game, but they all have kind of similar instrumentation. Yeah, so like I said, it was my first game jam. It was a super awesome team to work with, and this was my first time kind of working on the process from a point of like conception of the process, and not just coming in at a point where a game dev has kind of already thought of all of the tone and the story and everything. So it was a really different approach, but a very, very cool experience.
Yeah,
Very cool, man.
I definitely want to add to that your music helped inspire the direction of the story. It was, and I
Awesome.
still get the music stuck in my head, or even just have to
Yes.
turn it on to hear it again.
That
So,
is every composer's deepest wish, is for their music to just get stuck in everyone's head.
That is great. And Noah, since it was your first jam as well, how was the experience for you? Did you enjoy it? Would you come back for more of them?
Yeah, I totally would. I got more sleep than I expected. I didn't try to do anything super fancy with the music, just because it was my first jam, and I didn't want to introduce any like technical difficulties that might come with Wise or Fmod or any other middleware. So I just made three pretty simple looping tracks, and got some good sleep every night.
Well, that
Yeah,
is great.
middleware is really hard to implement on a weekend. That is for certain.
I had
I
been
can
warned.
imagine.
Yeah, you don't want to spend half your game jam trying to deal with source code. It's really hard, and you want to spend time developing a game, and you want to make it as easy and as simple as possible.
Yeah, totally. I'm very glad I went with kind of a more linear direction with this. And in future game jams, I might try to do something a little fancier, but I'm very glad I went with this direction. I'm also incredibly grateful for Kate and Ryan, who kind of were taking care of all of the voiceover and sound effect stuff. It was really nice to just get to focus on the music for at least for my first jam.
That is great. It looks like we have now your guys' Twitter handles for anybody who wants to keep in touch with the project, with you guys individually, with any future projects that you guys do. Thank you for sharing that with us. That is spectacular. What is there anything more that you guys are going to add to this game or expand on as a team?
I think most of us have expressed some interest in continuing to work on this. I know I would love to, whether it's a future jam or on our own time, continue to work on this, make a sequel or whatever form that takes.
Yeah, I would love to keep working on this as well.
I second that for sure. Great team.
Yes.
That is. Yes. Just a resounding yes. This
Yes.
is great. That is great. Just yes. There's a
Yes.
wonderful answer. That means that the team just meshed super well together and it's great. And it looks like you guys were pretty like on top of everything. Did you guys have a team manager or a project manager or anything of the like with this team?
Not specifically. I mean,
I would say Joey and Kira as creative director and then game design director.
Yeah, it was really great to have someone like Kira who's just done a ton of game jams to sort of help bring it all together.
I definitely think Kira was the MVP. She without her, it would have all been a bunch of ideas. So.
Did you guys find any hiccups with the online aspect of this? Because I know we've covered it a few times now that previous jams were held in person because of this past year and all the craziness in the world right now. We've been online and on an online platform for this. Did that pose any issues or make things any easier for you guys as a team?
Me personally, I've done about 4 game jams with Kira online, so I've already been through that learning curve. As being inside a room with people, you get a lot done quickly in the sense of the actual game design process, especially since chat and verbal interaction is just so much more speedy and efficient than texting. However, on the other hand, it's great for people who are more introverted in nature, who can have the time to read and process and not feel outed because they are not extroverted in a group setting. So I see the pros and cons for both in the sense of how efficient and quickly something can get done. But on the other hand, the inclusivity, I don't know, English is hard. How inclusive something is definitely a lot better for those, especially those inside a creative industry that really thrives upon people who are extroverted. However, so many introverted people are creative. And that is my spiel.
I would say that I would love to do an in-person one still. As an extroverted person, I have to say I did get a lot of like that energy just from this anyways. There was plenty of interaction. Like I did feel like I was there with a lot of you. There were times where because of different time zones and it being on remote, there were times where we had to wait a long time to get a response from some people. But and so that is a part of the nature of this. But also with I have an amazing 8-month pregnant wife who I would not have wanted to leave for the whole weekend. So being able to be home and do all of this was definitely a blessing.
Yeah, I can double on that. Having to haul not owning a laptop and have everything being either analog gear or a heavy PC, not having to haul to a venue is very nice when I don't have to make 3 trips. And living where I do in northern Canada, it's always minus 30 during game jams.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds brutal. But guys, thank you so much for sharing with us this amazing game and just the professionalism of this slideshow and all of the information you had to share about this and the details was amazing. Thank you guys for participating in the game jam and for joining us today to share it with us.
Thank you.
Thank you for hosting us.
Thank you.
Many thanks.
We definitely hope to see you in future game jams and all of the above. We'll be back shortly to close you out and tell you a little thank you for joining us with the recap here today, and I'll see you guys soon. Welcome back, everybody. Ooh, go for it. Take it off.
Hi. Yay. What a good stream. It's awesome. Seeing everybody's games is so cool. Thank you, Stephazoid, for joining us. What did you think about the games today?
Thanks for having me. I love them. This is, I think, the third event I've done with Seattle Indies as far as game jams or any events they did. My first time with you guys was with Seattle 6 Online, and it's a spectacular experience. From somebody who's not a game developer, it's super cool to see just the creativity and the effort that goes into it, and just the crunch and everything that's accomplished within that short amount of time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolute labors of love.
Yeah, it was awesome to see so many great teams. Everybody did such a good job presenting today. Just oh my goodness, it was so awesome to really see the games again. 1 and 2, to lower the veiling on like what it was like to develop those games and getting people's game jam advice and stuff. It was really neat. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first, let's say thanks to Steph for being a great host today.
Woo! Thank you so much. Never easy.
Bearing with some of us and our, we're usually more show. We're usually more show than tell at these things, but
Steph, would you like to plug some of your other work?
I am mainly a Twitch streamer. I'm more of a rage fest when I'm on my own content, so there is that fair warning right off the bat. But I'm Stephazoid on Twitch, so no Z, but I am Stephazoids across all social media places. Words are hard suddenly.
And we have it here on the screen
that's
too.
Me. I host every once in a while. I do things. I cast some Valorant tournaments every once in a while with Northwest Esports out here and Infernalon. So that's just me and a rundown on what things that I do.
Yeah.
And then I work with the Seattle Indies on things like this and these amazing projects. So it's really cool.
Do you hang around the Seattle Online Broadcaster Association at all? Do you?
I am a part of them. That's actually how I was introduced here. I can't believe I forgot about Silva. I am a part of them. I host their monthly meetups as well. So you'll probably see my face a lot of times on their online meet and greets now because we're no longer in person.
Can you share a little bit about SOBA for folks who don't know? I bet there are a lot of Seattle devs who don't know about it.
Yeah, SOBA is the Seattle Online Broadcasters Association. So it's a group of us from Washington State. Some of us are implants. I'm one of those implants. Gasp, right? But I found them a few years back, and it's just a group of broadcasters, both that work in the industry or who are creating content online. And it's a way for all of us to grow together, to find resources, information, opportunities that we might not otherwise find as an individual content creator.
Yeah. And that's all the more important now during the pandemic.
Totally. Yeah, and they were great to work with during 6 Online and all the jam recaps we've done recently. Like, there's been a great resource and great to have you, and we love working with you. Yeah, thanks to everybody who joined us today, all the viewers, all the developers. I mean, that was only 8 out of the 60 games that were developed at our site that you can find in the chat. I linked to all the games you can go find it, download them, and play them. And even in those 8 games, we had such a huge variety of like different styles of games and different types of people who were on the teams, like first timers, people who have come to like multiple jams. I mean, it was great to hear all those different stories of people who come to Global Game Jam to like try their hand at making a game and see how it goes. And I think it was Joey said, just do it. Like, don't be afraid. Come to a jam, try it out if you're thinking about it. It's always fun, and you're always going to learn something and meet new people.
This is wonderful.
The worst that can happen is that you'll make bad games and good friends. So what's the word? Why not try?
And bad games are great games. So
seriously,
it all works out.
Hope everyone's staying warm. Hope everyone's staying safe.
Thanks to Brad for producing and doing all the magic behind the scenes.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. I appreciate it. It was fun. Thanks for inviting me to do it. It was a labor of love.
Yeah, and if you're watching still on the stream, don't forget to come to our Discord and join the support group.
still going on
going
after this
thereafter.
till 7 o'clock. Brad will definitely be there. You can ask questions. Work on a game. Keep working on your game jam game. Hang out with the crew. It'll be fun.
All right, and Stephanie, would you like to take us out?
Take us out. Well, thank you guys so much for those of you in stream, behind the scenes as well, for making global game jams a thing. Because without the people who created these games and without you guys behind the scenes, we wouldn't be here and we wouldn't have these things to share or any of that. But thank you so much for joining us for the Global Game Jams 2021 Seattle Indies and Recap. We appreciate you guys. We love you guys, and we will see you with more game jams in the future.
Yay!
Yeah!